Hello and happy Thursday, and welcome to another open mic. I have an awesome guest coming back because we went for almost 6 hours last time. We still had so much to discuss. So we're here for part two with another open mic with Big Dog Jake. What's up, Jake? Glad you could join me again tonight for the
Yeah,
second time this week.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. Hello, everyone. My name is Jake. I go by Big Dog Jake, BIGGDOGGJAKE. I'm a professional, though occasional VOA for hire. I'm a political writer and analyst for hire. I love video games. I love metal music, and I will talk to anyone about them. Neo, again, thank you so much for having me on a part two. I look forward to the conversation. Absolutely.
Yes, I've been very much looking forward to this.
Mm,
Um, what was it probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago? We were talking in Discord about our
mhm.
last discussion, and
Yes.
you got me. Yeah, there was something about it. I was like, "Oh, I need to go back and check to figure out what the answer was to something we were talking about in
Hmm.
Discord." Then I
Yes,
ended up just
yes.
watching the whole thing again. I often will do that, but
Hmm.
lately I haven't been watching any of my old streams because I just love
Hmm.
the discussions I have with people. So I'll often go
Right.
back and re-listen to episodes.
Oh, absolutely.
Lately I haven't been doing it as much because I've just been so far behind on like the people I follow. And
Right.
usually I only go back and listen to my stuff when I'm like, all right, I'm all cut up on all the people I follow. And I've been so far behind, so I haven't really listened much lately.
Mhm.
But when I went back and re-listened to it, there was a couple things that I caught that needed correction. I doubt anyone's even going to
By
remember
all
this,
means. I think I
but
tried. I think I corrected something as well in a DM that I might have said. But please go ahead.
so a couple corrections that I did. No one ever said anything to me in a Discord chat or on a comment or anything, but I just wanted to put this out there because I re-listened to it and I caught a couple errors. So I wanted to set the record straight because when we were talking about Ninja Gaiden, I said Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z was an Xbox Live Arcade game. That was incorrect. It was a full
Mhm.
release, not an arcade release. Everything else I said about it, I think was spot on. But yeah, I
You
said it was an
corrected me a bunch on it, so
I said it was an arcade game, and it was not an arcade game. And then the other thing that I said, I was talking about games that I leave in quick resume because I'll go back and play them every
mhm,
once in a while. And I
mhm.
said Trials Rising, which is
Right,
the most recent one. What
correct.
I meant to say was Trials Fusion, which is the one right
Okay,
before it.
right, the one right
Um,
before.
Out of because I've played the only Trials game I have not played. I have it. I just haven't played it yet, and I will be playing it at some point. Is Trials of the Blood Dragon, the one that's based on
Oh,
the Far
based on
Cry
right the Far
Blood
Cry 3
Dragon game.
expansion, Blood Dragon. Right, right.
So I'll be playing that at some point. That's the only one I haven't played. But yeah, out of all the ones except for that one, because I've played a good amount of Rising so far, but
Mhm.
out of all of them, Fusion has definitely been my favorite. And oddly enough, I was
That's good.
looking at it on True Achievements. The user rating for Trials Fusion is like 3.5,
Out
and the
of 5?
out of five.
Okay,
I'd have to go and double check, but it was like 3 point. It was like a high 3 point something. So
that's
I think it was like
surprising.
3.5.
That's surprising.
And Trials Rising, the most recent one, which I don't think is anywhere near as good because it's
Right,
chock
I
full of
agree.
microtransactions and
I
stuff,
agree. I
is
agree.
like a 4.2. It's like,
It's and they
who
only
is
came out.
rating this?
Yeah, exactly. And they only came out a couple of years between them, and the most recent one, Rising, um, is on the same engine. And
Yeah,
other
that
than
feels like it.
having slightly different maps, and obviously a lot of microtransactions and a lot of different customization, which a lot of it is microtransactions, it's the mechanics, the physics are the same. You can go back all the way back to Trials on Xbox Live Arcade, and it's basically the same game. I mean, the
Yeah.
textures aren't that much different or anything, but Trials Fusion, man,
Yeah, I love
absolutely good
Trials
stuff.
Fusion. That's the one I keep in quick resume and I go back to it.
Hmm.
I'll pick it up and play a little bit, probably every other week or so for maybe like 30 minutes or so.
Hmm.
But yeah, that one's my favorite out of all of them. And like one of the things that I like about it better, because it's been a long time since I played Trials HD or Trials
Right.
Evolution.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't remember if they work the same way as Trials Fusion does, but in Fusion you basically have like almost like worlds like from Mario where you
Right.
select this world and it's got like a set of like 8 to 10 tracks that are all kind
Right.
of in the same theme,
Hmm.
and you just pick which kind of world you want to go to, and
Hmm.
I like that layout way better, and the
Okay.
settings of the levels are like there's all sorts of crazy like sci-fi stuff, and there's
Mhm.
space and all sorts
There's
of
underground volcanoes with magma flowing and things like that.
exactly. It's so nuts and ridiculous. I love
Mhm.
it. And then Trials Rising, you actually have everything as an icon on a
Mhm.
world map. And so you're not really sure
Right.
what the next one you're supposed to do is,
Right. You
how
have
to
to
unlock
scroll
the
all
next
over the
ones.
map and like inspect them to see what level you're supposed to be or what you need to do to unlock it and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all not there's anything wrong with it, but
Mhm.
it's you go to different cities and the tracks that are all in that region are all very similar to that city.
Right.
But
And
it's
they
all like
sometimes use the same layout, just different, or not the same layout. They use kind of like the same map or environment, just change the layout a little bit as well.
exactly, but it's all like based like in real, the real geography of that area or
Right.
what you would expect it to be. There's nothing like space and aliens and sci-fi robots and stuff.
Right.
So, um, not that it's a bad game. It's just I think
Mhm.
Fusion is just
Oh
way
yeah,
better, and for
I think
some
so as
reason
well.
it's rated way lower than Rising. And Rising's the one that's full of loot boxes and
Right.
microtransactions. It baffles me.
I don't know if I think Fusion had multiplayer. I think it had 4-person multiplayer. I don't think it had the 8-person multiplayer because I know the most recent one. I'm pretty sure it definitely has 4-person. I think it might also have 8-person, and of course it has the map maker and things like that. And I think it has a couple of other bikes. When you were speaking about all the various maps and stuff, people make tons of different maps, and unlike something like Super Mario Maker when you make a map, you only have to beat it with one of the bikes. And a problem that you can run into is how they have the donkey, which is like the short bike. I,
There's
I
bikes you can't beat it with.
right. I can't think of the guy's name off the top of my head, but he used to do Trials Tuesday. And what he would do was he had a show called Will It Donkey, WID. And he would boot up these maps and he'd get on the 250cc and he'd crush it the first or second try. And then he would slam his head against the wall with the donkey trying to beat the map to see if it would work.
That's
And it
funny.
was great stuff. It was great stuff.
That's great. Um, but I want to say Fusion did have the 8 player. I've never
Okay.
played any of them
Mhm.
online more than maybe like one or two times, and that was
Right.
because
I
I
think I've
think
done 2-person co-op and that's about it.
one of the games had an achievement for like completing 5 races or something. So
Right.
I did just the requirement to get that achievement multiplayer. I've
Mhm.
never like played the online, but I want to say Fusion did have the 8 player thing because there
Okay.
are. I'm pretty sure there are races in the single player where you're doing an 8 player race, just it's all against
Yes.
AI.
Yes, there are.
I
Yes, there
know
are.
that's
When you
in
get to the
Rising,
championship
but
ones.
I feel like that was in Fusion as well. But I could be
Mhm.
wrong
Might
about
be.
that.
Might be.
But yeah, I love that franchise.
Oh yeah, it's great
But
stuff. And again, having it on quick resume just to boot it up and play, just do a few trials through a few maps. Oh, so much fun! So
the
much fun.
and and it's a perfect game for quick resume because loading up either Fusion or Rising
Just
freaking takes forever. Even on a Series X, it's so annoying.
yeah, just
So
have
the
quick
quick
resume.
resume is
Hop
great.
right in. Oh yeah.
The thing that sucks though is that if I leave it in quick resume too long, which I leave
Mm,
it in quick resume, like I load it up and the game like run it's like the game is running like
like 15 frames a second or something like
exactly,
that.
but it's
Right.
not like the frame, it's more like the game is like
Like the
stuttering
physics.
itself. Yeah, so
Okay,
I have to
I
force
see.
close it and relaunch it every once in a while, which is annoying. I don't
Ooh.
think I've had to do that with any other game. But it's like if it's every couple weeks I'll have to force close it and relaunch
Right.
it. But
Right.
it's yeah, I love quick resume. Um,
Oh yeah.
great feature.
I wish Windows had something like that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, for real. So let's say hi to the chat before we
Let
really
us.
dive into things. Jacob Ironside. Yo, what's up, Jacob Ironside? Good to see you.
Ironside, good to see you as well.
Amin Ra. Moo
Moo.
to you too, buddy.
Good to
Good
see
to
you,
see
Rob.
you. We got Phantom X is back saying, hail chat and mods. What's up,
Phantom
Phantom
X,
X?
shout out to 199, shout out to GCA. I appreciate you being here, homie. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Good to see you again. Okay, while we're on it, sort of.
Hmm.
I've been hearing a lot about this GCA lately. What the heck is the GCA?
Okay, so now I've only been a part of it for about maybe 3 weeks to a month. So if you're familiar with Geeks and Gamers with Jeremy, D-Day Cobra, and they had Ryan Kendall on from RK Outpost. He's also part of that show.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best to get this right. Phantom might correct me in the comments. We'll see. Somebody, I think they might have been drunk, and somebody in chat said we're going to be partying like it's 19. Didn't say 1999. Said 199.
Oh, the 199
and
thing
so,
came from someone who was talking about Star Wars Celebration
right
in 199.
Right.
That was pretty
Okay.
funny.
Right.
Obviously,
And,
meant to say 1999.
Right, exactly. And so, well, thank you for correcting me on that first off. And continuing, the GCA, a bunch of guys over there, Mo Zamboni, Alec Baldwin's Finger, Magda, Jess, Naggard a few others.
Okay.
What they did is about 2-ish, maybe a little more, months ago, they started the 199 podcast, and they ran for maybe 2 episodes or so. And Jeremy came in, spoke to them privately, and said, "Hey, we love what you guys are doing. I would appreciate it if you guys would change the name, because the 199 is kind of our thing now. We have it in like a picture that we put in the corner of the stream. We love that you guys want to be a part of the 999. We love that you guys hail the 199, hail the fellowship, all that jazz." So they just asked if they would just change the name. And everybody except one person
represent them.
Right, exactly. And he said, you know what? If you guys want to stick with the 199 name, just make sure you let people know you're unaffiliated and it's a fan name. But I would really appreciate it if you guys would change the name. And so they all got together and they thought of, what about GCA? And GCA stands for Giant Collection of Assholes. I'm letting out a little bit of a secret. You're not supposed to know until you join, but there you have it. And so they've been doing late and homosexual with the GCA on Wednesdays, and they just did episode 7, and the server is popping off, homie.
That sounds hilarious.
The first 199 members of the server get an OG VIP sticker. I think we're up to a little over 150, around 160 now. If you'd love to be a part of it, I'd send you an invite to it. I think we'd love to have you. You'd fit in absolutely great.
I'll have to check it out. That does sound fun.
Right on.
So, well, thank you for enlightening me on that.
You are so very welcome.
And we have Christian Freights. Hello, Christian Freights. Good to see you again.
Christian,
he messaged me during Top 5 Star Wars the other night, and he would love to be on for the future one. So, and he said he also wanted to be on an open mic. So, once I get back from traveling from work, we'll get it scheduled, and I'll have you on for open mic, and hope to get you on for Top 5 Star Wars games Part 2 when we do that. And Jake here will be able to finish up the other part of his list since he had to bounce out early.
Yeah, I did. Christian Freights, though, was dropping some knowledge in the chat, though. I was reading it the whole time. I think he'd do well in the top 5.
I think so, too. So, well, hello, everyone in chat. Thanks for joining us tonight. We won't go as long as last time because I have to get ready for traveling because I got a flight in the morning.
Open.
So we'll still have a great long discussion, just not as long as last time. So, and
the sun was coming up for me. So
I own thousands of DVDs, Blu-rays, and video games. That's awesome.
Right on. The physical media. Keep physical media alive.
So I actually wasn't going to bring this up, but since you just mentioned it, the sun coming up, that was me last night. I was gaming last night till the sun came up because
oh my goodness.
I was not intending for it to be that long, but I was on a deadline. I was determined. So, and we got Jerry Crow is here. What's up, Jerry Crow? Haven't seen you in a little while. Good to see you, man.
Loved your new video that you put up. I commented on it. I love your music, homie.
The only thing on the agenda is stuff that we briefly touched on our last chat that we didn't get to. So, but anyways, last night, as you know, I'm a big Xbox guy. Not that I have anything against the other platforms, but Xbox has just been my platform of choice. Yep, right there. It's my gamer tag. Games will come in and out of Game Pass all the time, and my genre of choice is Metroidvania. And there was a game that was leaving Game Pass today, and I had to get it done before it left Game Pass. So I was like, I'm staying up as long as it takes to get this done. And I was done with everything except for the last achievement, probably by probably between 1 and 2 a.m.
Ooh.
And so I was working on the last achievement.
Ooh, this close.
Because what it was Supraland 6 Inches Under, which is a sequel to Supraland, which I often mention because I often talk about how there's a disappointing lack of 3D Metroidvanias, and even less so first-person Metroidvanias, because other than Metroid Prime, literally the only other first-person Metroidvanias there are is one that was on my top 5 list of Metroidvanias, which was Journey to the Savage Planet, and then the Superland / Superland 6 Inches Under, which it was originally going to be a DLC, but they spun it off into its own game.
Right.
Superland used to be on Game Pass,
by the way,
and it left, and then the sequel came to Game Pass. So Superland is very much like Grounded, or where Grounded you play, although in Grounded you play as an actual human, it's just you shrink down into like bug size.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids style.
Exactly. Grounded is basically Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the video game. Superland is basically the same, where you're a little itty bitty person in what's essentially like someone's backyard, but it's a first person Metroidvania puzzle game, and you have a thing that looks very much like a portal gun from Portal, but it doesn't use portals. You shoot like energy tethers, and there's you get different abilities, and you use them to solve puzzles, and the abilities allow you to reach new areas so you can progress through the game. So so those are, like I said, other than the Metroid Prime series, Journey to the Savage Planet and Superland games are basically the only first-person Metroidvanias. So I wasn't planning on like I mentioned last time I'm trying to recover my completion percentage before I start anything new. But if it's leaving Game Pass and I want to play it, I'm going to put everything else on hold and play that, which Paul, as I have so nicely stolen the term from him, panic playing a game, which means because they'll games leave in the middle of the month and at the end of the month, so and you get about a 2-week notice before they leave Game Pass. So if you
at least they tell you. My goodness.
I would love a longer notice than 2 weeks, but that's just
like
how
when
it
they
is.
release it, it's going to leave in a month, 6 months, 2 weeks, whatever.
Typically, games will stay on Game Pass at least a year. And this one did, because it launched into Game Pass last May and it left this May, so it was not a surprise. But oftentimes games will last much longer than that. It depends on the agreement behind the scenes with Microsoft and whatever the company is, which we're not privy to.
And as far as I'm aware, when it comes to Game Pass, it's typically, not always, as far as I'm aware, it's 2 ways. Either there's day one Game Pass, when games are released, they come to Game Pass day one, or it's like a year after, and then it comes to Game Pass and it's out for however long. Am I correct in that? Or
for the most part, Microsoft first-party games always launch into Game Pass. Other third-party games occasionally do launch day one into Game Pass, but it's not guaranteed. And then there's for the year offset thing, that is almost the standard when it comes to EA games. If you have Game Pass Ultimate, you have EA Play included, but if you have Game Pass Core, you do not have EA Play. But
interesting.
If you have Game Pass Ultimate, the EA games are almost guaranteed a year after they come out, they get added to EA Play. Fallen Order did that. Jedi Survivor just launched, just came into Game Pass at the end of April, which was exactly a year after it came out. But as for other third-party games, there's no like rhyme or reason to it. It could be a game that's been out for 8 years. And they finally
just
worked
all
out the
behind
deal.
the scenes IP and copyright and all that jazz, music, whatever.
And we don't know any of those behind the scenes deals. That's not information that they put out. But some games stay for years. Some games have been in for 4 years, and there's still no indication that they're going to leave. Obviously, I'm talking about non-first party games because those stay in the service. But then occasionally there are games that last less than a year. That's pretty rare. I think the only games that have done that have been the GTA games. They'll come in for like 3 months or 6 months at a time. And I think it's just because of how popular they are. The deal that they have to work out is they have to pay that company, like Microsoft has to pay the company way more than they do the other developers. And so that's why it doesn't stay in as long. That's just my guess But
Certainly
GTA
when it
games.
comes to GTA 5, I know that I apologize for cutting you off if I did.
Oh, I was going to say they've come in and out of the service in short increments multiple times, but
all the GTA, like GTA 3 up,
not
basically.
all of them. But when the
Okay.
GTA games do come in, they've come in and left in like 3 or 6 months, but then
I see.
they've come back again later. So they've
I
come
see.
in and out multiple times.
I see. In regards to GTA 5 specifically, I was speaking to somebody about this the other day. It might have been on Fish Tank. I think even Melee K might have been on that episode of Fish Tank. I'm not exactly sure.
Speaking of,
Speaking of
what's
him,
up, Kay? Good to see you.
howdy,
Good
Kay.
evening.
Glad you're here. Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. I was mentioning how, or might have been Pimp, might have been Internet Crusader, or oh no, it was my friend Malty who I do off hip with Alex Baldwin's Finger on Mondays. He was mentioning how most people who play GTA 5 nowadays, basically all of them are playing online, and basically all of them are playing through a modded game, doing a modded launcher. And of course, mods and things you can get up to with mods, really easy way to get banned, get your key taken care of. I don't think they ban by IP, they do ban keys. And the Epic Games Store has GTA 5 on there. And if you look at if you look at the Epic Game Store and for some reason GTA 5 costs $30, just wait, because 9 out of 12 months of the year it goes for like $10 to $15, and I know of a bunch of people who play it modded online and do kind of some not so fair things when they play a modded GTA, and when they get banned, they just go on Epic Games, they buy another key, they boot it up again, they launch it through the modder, and they just keep going. I know Twitch streamers who have done it. They've gone through like 10 or 15 keys over like a year, just doing that stuff.
I don't know a whole lot about the modding scene, but
It's
I have
wild,
seen
apparently.
GTA 5 on sale
Wild.
for like $10 many
very
times.
very common, because they makes the amount of people that still buy shark cards, for crying out loud. I mean, GTA 6 is supposed to come out later this year. It probably will get delayed, as all Take-Two and especially Rockstar games do. But people are still playing the heck out of GTA 5 online. Oh my goodness.
That game has lasted 3 console generations.
Oh yeah, and the first console generation it launched on, they shouldn't have, because that thing can't run worth a dang on the 360.
That's what I've heard.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was I think I even might have mentioned this to you. It was GTA 5 was the first game that I ever waited, because at that time, around 2013, I still had my Xbox. It was the only game, or it was the first game, excuse me, that I ever waited for it to come to PC, and it didn't come until 2015 when it came out, and I got it quite shortly afterwards. Went on sale for like $30. Played through the campaign, enjoyed it, really enjoyed it. It was good stuff, and it was a really really good port too. Like, they spent those. It was only supposed to be a year, but the multiplayer really took off, and so the team kind of got split up a little bit and spent a lot of time working on the multiplayer. So it ended up being 2 years before it came to PC, then about another 3 or 4 months before multiplayer opened up on the PC.
Okay.
But man, it really, really took off. And again, they're still playing the crap out of it to this day.
Yeah, I'm not big on GTA, but I know it's a massive franchise. And
Oh yeah.
pretty much everyone.
And I've never been big on GTA
it.
either. GTA 5 was my first. I think I played Vice City with my friend when we were younger, maybe before we were teenagers, I would say. But GTA 5 was the first one I played because it was hyped so much, and it was. I'd hate to say it, but it's probably going to be the last Rockstar game that meets the hype. I know Red Dead Redemption 2, a lot of people love that, but they really messed up or effed over the people playing the online multiplayer. And the campaign's a little in some places. You know the way Rockstar games are. They're very open when you're not in a mission. You can basically do whatever you want. But when you're in a mission, even though you have the open world and you do basically whatever, if you use the wrong gun, if you walk down the wrong road, if you get in the wrong car, there's so many ways to hit fail states and have to restart the missions. And there's a lot of that in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Okay.
And it is annoying.
Gotcha. We have at least a new face to me. Every Eye Ministries. Hello, welcome. Hope you enjoy.
Every Eye Ministries is a friend of mine. He runs a ministry at no politics, religion, or anything, but he sent me some tracks that I have here. I'm going to take some nice pictures of Every Eye. If you're looking out, take some pictures of, put them up on Instagram, put them up on Twitter, tag him for that. he's a good guy. I really like him. He's a good guy.
Awesome.
He's in GCA as well. You'd also get along with him, I think so.
Cool. Well, welcome. Nice to meet you, Every Eye Ministries. Look forward to chatting with you in the future, and hope you enjoy
Absolutely.
our conversation about video games.
I sure hope so.
And yeah, Christian is saying that he owns Series X because of disk drive and
Yep.
an Xbox I because of backwards compatibility. They do it better than anyone.
Oh yeah.
That's for sure. So, but yeah. Anyways, so Superland, first person puzzling Metroidvania, and you get all these different abilities and different. Not there's a little bit of combat in the game, not much. It's very light on the combat.
Really? Okay.
Which is a good thing because in the first one, later in the game, it got pretty heavy into the combat, but it was almost like it was added in as an afterthought because it wasn't really. It didn't feel like it was really meant to have combat. So, it was better as just a puzzle 3D platformer. And then when they added in more and more combat at the end, it made the later part of the story kind of annoying.
Okay.
But in the sequel, 6 Inches Under, they dialed it back, and there's much less combat in it, which I thought was a good thing. But yeah, you got like a pickaxe, and you have a little gun that
you said it was kind of like a portal gun that you used to like
you
change
get that
stuff together, move things around.
Yeah, you get
also,
that early
I just
on.
got 6 inches under because they're little instead of 6 feet under. 6
exactly.
Inches under.
Yes,
just
6
got
inches under. But yeah, you do get that. I forget what it's actually called in the game, but it's basically like an energy tether gun, and you can use it to walk across and it bounce stuff off of and connect electricity nodes and stuff. You get that pretty early on. Later in the game, you get a fire gun, but you have to like absorb fire from sources. And it can only hold so many charges, but you get more and more as you find more. Like when you first get it, you can only hold 3 charges, but you can through items that you find, it can upgrade to. I think it can hold 12 at max. But you don't use it. I mean, you do use it in combat a little bit, but it's more so for solving puzzles. So it's all very much a puzzle based game, and it was enjoyable. I liked it a lot. I might have liked it.
Combat. And it really felt tacked on. You say
the first one. I might like. I don't think 6 Inches Under, the sequel, did as well. Like generally, like player consensus wise, I think more people like the first one better. I mean, I just finished it last night. I think I like this one better, and that's a big thing. Is that the combat was toned down so much, and it was much less a part of the game. But they're both enjoyable if you like. Metroidvanias and puzzle platformer games, which puzzle platformers are like another genre that I mean just puzzle games in general I love, but I love puzzle platformers. Like Portal is probably one of my favorite puzzle games ever. And it's like a great merge of the two. I've played the Cube games. I have Talos Principle. I have not played it yet. I'm looking forward to playing that.
There's no combat, and some of the puzzles can get pretty intense, but a lot of it's like line drawing through various areas and things like that. That
sounds just like The Witness.
Come up to. Yes, it's. I don't know if it's from the same developer, but it's very similar to The Witness.
Because The Witness, that's almost the entire game is line drawing puzzles.
It's the same
that one got really difficult. Talos Principle, from what I've seen, looked more like puzzles of like placing stuff in certain places. Are there also line drawing puzzles in it then?
Yeah, there typically, in Talos Principle, you have the map, if you will, that you're on, and when you go to certain areas to line up things in the map, make sure that they're all aligned to unlock areas way over there or what have you. There are some like on big stone tablets line drawing puzzles as well to unlock the ability to move something. And then you want to move it into place. That'll unlock something way over there, and then you have to travel all the way over there. So and like I said, there's no combat. It's very calm. There's no time limit. It can seem kind of intense due to just the atmosphere of it, but really, if you just go in with the mindset of it's a puzzle game, it's going to get complicated the further it goes, as most puzzle games do. It's very enjoyable. I think it's very enjoyable, and you can, if you're a whiz at it, it might take you 6 hours. But if you're someone like me who boots it up when I was playing it, booted up every now and again, every few weeks or whatever, played for like an hour or two. It took me about 15, 20 hours, something like that. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've liked what little I've seen from it. I'm very much looking forward to playing it. It was on Game Pass, and I was kicking myself for not playing it when it was on Game Pass. So I
There's
bought it when I
timed achievements on it as well, like completing certain tasks in a certain amount of time, completing the
Oh,
game in a certain
gotcha.
amount of time. So I imagine if you're
Okay.
working on your completion ratio for games, that might be something that might irk you a little bit.
Um, but yeah, so I picked it up when it went on a good sale, and I've got Talos Principle 2 on my wish list, and
Mhm.
when it goes on a good sale, I'll definitely be picking that one up as
Yeah, I want to
well.
grab it too.
But yeah, those sort of first-person physics platforming puzzlers with that
Hmm.
look really pretty, I love those. A couple others,
Oh yeah.
very short ones, but were really enjoyable. Was Numa, like
Okay.
Pnuema.
Oh, like pneumonia, pneuma, like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a
Okay.
silent P.
Mhm.
That was a good one. Shoot, there's another one along those lines.
We're doing it live, folks.
Oh,
Don't worry about it.
the Turing test was another one.
Yes, yes, the Turing test. That was another interesting one. I didn't play it, but I've watched people play it. It does look very interesting.
But it's along the lines of Talos Principle,
Mhm.
I think no, it's on Game Pass. So if it gets announced as leaving Game Pass, I'm definitely going to jump on it before it leaves Game Pass.
Okay.
But another, and it might because it's been on Game Pass a while. But a
Okay.
game very similar to Talos Principle that it reminded me of when you said lining things up,
Right.
and is if you like Talos Principle, I'm sure you'd like this game as well. It's called Superliminal, and it's all
Okay.
about like
Okay.
lining things up, but it's
Right.
not. It's more so like physics breaking because
Right.
it's
Superliminal physics, superliminal spaces, that kind of thing.
yeah, like I think I remember
Right.
seeing a
Right.
clip where someone was like the character was holding up a Polaroid and it took an image of what was behind it and put it in the Polaroid, and then
Right.
you
Right.
put it somewhere and then you went into the Polaroid, or you
I
like
see.
resize stuff, like you take it out of
Hmm.
an image and
Yeah.
it's like really big so you can use it to solve an item
Right.
or vice
Right.
versa.
Just
So
like
it's
the
like
prototypical thing you do when you're a kid and you look up at the moon, you kind of squeeze it between your fingers in the game. You can take it and kind of bring it down to your level and have like a golf ball or what have you. You know, something
exactly.
like
It does these interesting puzzles with perspectives and sizes, and you can change things, and it looks really interesting. So I'm very much looking forward to playing that as well.
Very nice.
So
Very
if you
nice.
like those type of first-person puzzle games, check out Superliminal as well.
Mm,
So,
very good.
um,
Very good.
all right. So, on to our actual topics that were
Let
brought up
us
in our
let us
last open
commence.
mic,
Mm,
and we're already at half an hour.
mhm.
Yes.
Yes, let's go, baby.
Um, I think this could lead to a long discussion. So let's start with
Let's
this
see.
one. Racing games.
Racing games. Let's go, baby. Neo, take the floor. Go for it.
Oh shoot. Oh no, before we get into that, one last thing because
Sure. Sure.
this would be something that I would talk about on Party Chat, but we're not having Party Chat this week.
Hmm.
So I just talked about what I've been playing,
Hmm.
Superland.
Hmm.
Finished that up. Oh, that's where I was going with that. I didn't finish that up. Is
Sure.
that last achievement is for finding all the chests.
Hmm.
Fortunately, there's an item you get that shows you how many chests you have out of how many there are.
Thank goodness.
And
Yeah.
there is an item that you get that is a chest detector, but all it does
Oh, very
is
good.
it's basically plays hot and cold. When you're close enough
Right.
to a chest, it
Right.
starts beeping, and the closer you get to it, the faster it beeps. But you have to
Right.
be in range of it. There was
I see.
144 chests, and I was stuck at 143 for like 4 hours.
Mm,
And it's because the last chest, I think they added more chests to the game because when I was looking at people's guides,
I see. I
people were
see.
saying that there was like 139 or 140. I'm like, why
Right.
does mine say 144? And there was
I
one
see.
chest that was at the top of this wall in like the back corner,
Right.
uh,
Just
middle of
way out in the
nowhere.
boonies.
Is part of the map, and you've never had to do the whole wall is wood,
Mhm.
and with that tether gun, you can tether to wood, but
Okay.
you've never had to do a puzzle like this in the game because there's nothing to climb except the wall itself. So you have
Mhm.
to put 2 points, climb here, and then jump and put the point here so that it goes from
Ah,
here and then it goes here
I
and
see.
here, and you have to keep doing that to get up to the top.
Right.
And there was
Right.
nothing to indicate
Right.
that there was anything up there or any
Yeah.
reason to go up
And I
there.
imagine the hot cold meter does not have the range to be able to detect that.
No, because this wall was huge. So I didn't.
Right.
I was
Right.
and it was, you mess up and you fall all the way back down. You got to climb all the way back up again. So it was kind of annoying. But the chest detector didn't even start beeping until I was like 60% up the way up the wall.
Oh my goodness!
So there's no way I ever would have found it.
Right.
I was looking through these solutions, and people had videos of like all the chests, and I had followed it, and I had all the chests. I'm like, what am I still missing? Another thing that was throwing me off is that my health upgrades, I had 29 hearts, so it looked like there was one missing. And in the videos, people had all 30 hearts, and I didn't. So I could have. I was like, oh, so I must be missing a heart chest. So I was looking through all the hearts. Luckily, I found a interactive map. The thing was that it doesn't differentiate between the items in the chest. It's like you can see all chests, but you can't see which ones they are unless you actually like tap and hold on it, and it'll pop up and say what's in that chest. So I can't just be like, I want to see only the chests that have hearts in them. I have to go and look at each one. I looked at all of them. I'm like, I have all these chests already. And then finally it was like 4:30. I was about in the morning. I was about to give up.
Goodness gracious.
I actually scrolled down, and there was a couple other solutions as well. And the very next solution, which I'm pissed at myself, it took me so long to look for another solution. The very next solution was like, hey, if you're at 143 of 144, there's this one chest up here on top of this wall out in the middle of nowhere. So I went.
You have no idea about.
Yeah. Right. So I went and looked there. There was the chest, got the item, got the achievement, and I was like, thank you. Yes. And I was worried that I was going to get kicked out of the game because that's actually the latest I've pushed it, because I've been traveling and stuff, so I haven't had as much time to game lately as well. And when I haven't been gaming, I've been I like doing my streaming, so my gaming timing has been much limited. So that's why I basically left it for the last minute. Although I had started it a week and a half ago. So probably right after it was announced. I just haven't had enough time to play it. But I've had a couple other games earlier this year, actually in February. A game was about to leave Game Pass, and it was a very similar thing where I was looking for this one last item. And I couldn't find it. But fortunately, I was able to get it at like 3:30 in the morning, the night it was leaving Game Pass. And I was like, I'm hoping I don't get booted out of the game while I'm playing, saying this game is no longer in Game Pass. But
do the games leave it like 8 Eastern or something? Or let's say they left it like noon Eastern. So if you were playing at like 8:59, when it ticked over to 9 a.m., does it boot you out? It just kicks you like that?
I don't know. I had because I assumed that's how it worked. If you're playing at a certain time, it'll just kick you out. But so far, I played till 5 a.m. Pacific time last night, or 4:50 or something, right before 5 o'clock. The sun was starting to come up. And I was still able to play it. So I don't know. I was worried about because I thought maybe it was glitched and like the chest wasn't spawning. And so I was thinking about closing the game and relaunching it. But I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get back in. It might say this is no longer in Game Pass, which I don't think it did. It would have done, because even after I finished the game and uninstalled it, I was looking through the games that are in Game Pass, and it still showed up there, so I could have still installed it. So I don't think so. But
there might be like a grace period or something like that.
There might be
already have it downloaded.
There might be a grace period, or it might be that there is a cutoff time, but I just hadn't reached it yet. Maybe because it's not until like noon the next day. I don't know what it is. The closest thing, though, there was a game that they this is the one Game Pass leaving that pissed me off the most, because they literally did not mention it until about 24 hours before it left Game Pass, and I was really upset because and it was a game that I had accidentally gotten an achievement on, which was a racing game, because I was doing it for a Game Pass quest.
Good segue.
And I accidentally got an achievement in it. So it was like, hey, this game is leaving Game Pass. I'm like, oh, thanks for the 2-week warning that we're supposed to have. So I played as much as I could that day. And I got about half the I think I have like 450 of the gamer score in the game, but basically all the rest is for like going through the entire career mode. But a lot of the achievements you can get pretty early on, so I got to go through the entire career mode, and then the other section of achievements that I have to get is all for the online stuff, which like I said, I don't typically like playing online, so
Mhm.
I'll have to go back to it at some point. But I was really upset about that. But that game went on sale for like a super deep discount a couple months later, so I picked it up at that point.
Right on. And what game was
But
that?
that was F1 2018,
Okay, okay. I played some of
and
the F1 games as well. Yeah.
um,
I really enjoyed Codemasters racing games. I think
they
they
do
do a
make
great
great
job.
racing games.
Yes, they do.
But what I tried to do to try to cheat the system is I left that game in my quick resumes, hoping that the next day I could resume the game and keep playing. But as soon as
Mhm.
I boot up quick resume, it said you need to buy the game to play it. So it might be if you're actively playing it, you can
Right,
keep playing it. But if you
right.
quick
Till you turn
resume
it
it
off.
or force close it, then you can't get back in. It might,
Right.
I don't know.
And
But
Codemasters, especially with the F1 games, Codemasters puts one out every year, so they might have a thing where if the next one's coming out in like a month or whatever, they're like, yeah, 2021, it's gone. 2022 is in.
that's why it
That
was
kind of
leaving
thing.
Game Pass, because
Oh,
F1
well, then there you go.
2019 was joining that day. But they didn't tell us the 2 weeks prior
Yeah, they
that
give you 24
F1
hours.
2018 was going to be leaving.
Mhm.
So I was a bit upset about that. But what's up, Spartacus?
Hey,
Good to
Chris.
see you,
Hello, my
buddy.
internet dad. Good to see you.
But
Appreciate
so
you
that's
tuning in.
basically what I've been playing. But with today being May 16th, I wanted to
It
play a little
is.
bit before I left because in my gaming roulette a couple weeks ago, and City's Bliss was nice enough to gift it to me. I
Shout
have
out to Nomi.
Ghost of Tsushima for PC, so I was
Oh,
playing that for the
yeah.
last couple
Oh, yeah.
hours,
How is it?
and I
How is it?
am loving it, and it
Right
looks
on.
phenomenal.
Right
So
on.
I haven't
That's
played
what
much,
everyone's telling me.
couple hours, but I am loving it so far.
Now, something that was kind of not, I wouldn't say contentious, but Ghost of Tsushima was mentioned by Paul, mentioned by City of Bliss. You just mentioned it. A few other people I've been talking to have mentioned it. They have an Akira Kurosawa mode, which makes it black and white. Can you do that from the beginning, or do you have to beat the game? Because what we
No.
were thinking was either it's one or the other. Either you can do it from the beginning,
Speaking
or you
of,
could do it from the end. Great game, and City of Bliss. Shout out
what's
to the
up,
homie.
Bliss? I
Um,
booted it up. I played a couple hours of it, and I'm
mhm.
loving it. Shout out to you. You rock, man. I appreciate it so much.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the argument went something like if it's not available from the start, it might be so that players who play it for the first time can appreciate all the beautiful art, the beautiful environments, all the color and stuff. And then you can unlock the Kurosawa mode with, all the blood, way more blood and black and white
Oh,
and all that stuff.
in the original PlayStation release, it might be like that. I don't know. But in
Mhm.
the Steam Director's Cut version,
Right.
when you boot it up, the first thing it asks when you hit Start New Game is what difficulty do you want?
Mhm.
And then the very next question is what mode do you want? And it was like, do you want no subtitles? Do you want English with English subtitles? Do you want Japanese with English subtitles? Or do you want Kurosawa mode right off the bat? So
Very good. Very good.
and you even if you so I selected English with English subtitles.
Mhm.
If I play through it again at some point, which I'm sure I will,
Japanese with English.
I'm going to do Japanese with English subtitles.
Absolutely. That's how I play all
Because
the Stalker games. I play with Russian language and English subtitles for
okay,
what there is. Yeah.
because yeah, I definitely don't want to have to. I always have subtitles on everything I play, but I
Same.
don't.
Same.
I don't want to have to focus on it
Right.
the first
Right.
time. So I'll
Exactly.
play it in English, and the next time I'll play it in Japanese.
Okay. Right
But
on.
yeah, it's there by default. That's what I was going to say is that so I selected English with English subtitles, but after I started the game, I went into settings and it said it had a setting for Kurosawa mode, so I could have still turned it on after the fact,
I see. I see.
even if I wanted. That
Oh,
probably
very
wouldn't have
good.
affected the language, but it would at
Mhm.
least give that
The
black and white
visuals,
filter.
right, right. And hopefully it wouldn't affect achievements because I don't know if there's an achievements
It
for beating the
wouldn't.
game, beating in Kurosawa mode or anything like that. So,
Yeah,
but
no,
it's a game that I very much would like to play. Very
yeah,
much so.
I'm very
Hope it
much
would run on
liking
my
the.
PC, certainly.
Yeah, I had to update my GPU drivers because it popped
Mhm.
when I first launched it. It's like your drivers are out of date. You should go update them first. I was like, oh, okay.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm not an every month kind of guy. I do it like every 6 months, maybe. Or if a new game comes out, I check new drivers, things like that. I'm not always on top of things. So I
that,
feel you on that.
that was the first time I had to update my drivers since I built this PC in September. So,
Oh, okay. Very good.
but yeah,
Have you played any Helldivers on it?
oh yeah,
Okay. Okay. You didn't need to update your GPU for Helldivers? Or you
I
didn't have to, didn't want to?
if I did, I don't remember doing it. I don't
Okay.
think it asked me to, but I might have. I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I played probably about an hour and a half of it so far, and I'm very
Mhm.
much enjoying it.
Very good. Very
So
good.
that is what I've been playing lately. What's up, Fork Around? Good to see you as always. So, what have is there anything you've been playing lately?
I actually haven't been playing a ton of games lately. I've been doing a lot of live stream, been doing taking Spanish lessons,
Oh,
things
cool.
like that. Yeah, my lady is from Peru, so
Oh,
I'm doing my
okay.
best to learn the language. I want to get at
Cool.
least conversation before I might be able to move down there. As
Speaking of
far
hell divers, what's up, Beard of Liberty? Popping in to drop a like for fire up some hell
absolutely
divers. You go spread
appreciate
some
it, homie.
managed democracy, Beard.
You
Good to
spread
see
that
you.
man. Fuck.
Thanks for the like, buddy. You rock. Good to always see you.
Absolutely. When it comes to games I recently played, um, and I know we had not a contentious discussion, but you had some opinions regarding it last time we spoke. The game that I played most recently was for Anna, my lady, who wanted to spend a night watching me play a video game. She had me boot up Blasphemous, the first
Okay.
Blasphemous, and so that was I played it when it first came out for like a couple of hours. I didn't retain any of it after all this time, but I played that for about 2 or 3 hours, and I was enjoying it. I was really enjoying it. I liked the upgrades. I liked the art style, and the story, if you will. Very enjoyable. Very enjoyable. I know the second Blasphemous introduces more weapons, more movement and combat and things like that. But for basically diving in fresh, because like I said, I haven't really retained any of it since I played it the first time. I've been enjoying that, and we'll probably play it sometime later this week or something like that.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
I know, I specifically asked you about Blasphemous because whether you consider it a Metroidvania or not, or a Souls-like or not.
Yeah. Excellent. Good choice. Yeah. It took me a while to come around on it, but I did end up enjoying it. And it is tagged as a Metroidvania. The
Which you
argument
disagree
could
with?
be made that it's not a Metroidvania because I'm pretty sure you can beat the game without any of the ability upgrades.
Probably, yeah.
You do absolutely need them to get all the achievements because you do need the ability upgrades to reach certain areas to get all the
Yeah.
collectibles, but I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure you don't need them to actually progress through the story. So that's why the argument could be made that it's not a Metroidvania. I
It
did
does have
still
a
really enjoy
very
it though.
Metroidvania-esque map, though.
Yes, it
Very much so.
absolutely does. Um, Blasphemous 2, from what I've heard, I'm very much looking forward to playing it at some point.
Mhm. Same.
Actually, definitively is a Metroidvania. From what I've heard,
Okay.
you do actually need the upgrades in order to progress through the game. And I've heard that with the because in the first one, all you have is your sword.
Right.
Uh, in Blasphemous 2, there's a couple different weapons you can choose to use, and so you have different combat styles. So
Right.
I love that idea as well. So I think the combat is taken up a notch as well as fitting the Metroidvania uh,
Requirements, if you will.
requirements better. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing that one.
Oh, absolutely. And Blasphemous 2, that doesn't have co-op in it, right? It's still single player, or does it have
I
co-op?
don't believe it has co-op.
Because
The only
that'd be pretty
2D
cool for that co-op, though.
the only like full co-op 2D Metroidvania, and I put that in air quotes because as far as I know, Paul's not here. Is Salt and Sanctuary. I know that one you can play
Mhm.
it entirely in co-op,
Yeah.
and that's basically a 2D Souls-like. And
Mhm.
as I say,
Even Blabs just finished it up like earlier this week or last
oh,
week, something like
cool.
that. They moved on to Outward now, and I
Oh, I
came in
saw
on
that
I
Paul's
came in
been
on one of
playing
their
that.
streams, and I said, "Look, this is a make or break game for you guys' relationship." And immediately Paul brought that up, and Gabs was like, "Oh, don't worry, we beat it already before." I'm like, "Oh, thank God! Oh my goodness!" Because that game is difficult, especially single player, because it does not hold your hand at all.
And are you talking about Outward or Salt and Sanctuary?
Outward,
Okay,
Outward.
I
Yeah,
don't
they
know
just beat
anything
they
about
just beat
Outward.
Salt and Sanctuary, and they went into Outward again. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
because yeah,
Outward is
I've seen that he's
very
been playing it, but
very
I
difficult.
don't know anything about that game.
I would recommend. I'd go to GOG. I'd get it. They did release an expansion for it, which you don't need, but it adds some stuff to it. Again, it's a game that does not hold your hand at all, and it's I wouldn't say realistic per se, but there's realism elements to it. You die very easily. You can kill very easily. There's not really like kind of spongy enemies with a whole lot of health. If you can land good hits on them and not die or be crushed by them or get blasted away by their magic. Um, it's really fun. It's really fun. You know, you buy a house, your sleeping bags. You have to make fire properly, carry fire with you, cook your food. Your food can go bad. The magic system is really difficult. There's lots of different books. You have to learn the words and you have to combine them all together. Things like that. It's if you can get into it, I would say it takes maybe 10 to 20 hours to like understand the mechanics.
Okay.
But once you're into it, it's a really, really, really fun game. I think so, at least. I'm kind
Okay.
of into those not holding your hand, difficult games like that. And it's third person. It has a very fluid combat and magic system. And again, the world is insane. I think there's a couple of items to do fast travel, and I'm pretty sure in some of the major cities there's like portal hubs, I guess, to travel from one place to another. But there's a lot of walking, like legitimate, like I have to walk 15 to 20 kilometers to get to another town, and I might have to camp like twice on the way there. It might take me a few days to actually walk there.
Okay. Because the fact that they were playing Salt and Sanctuary went to this, I was like, oh, is it another 2D Souls-like? Because I know this sounds more like a 3D survival game.
Yeah,
With
it definitely has survival elements, but it's very very high fantasy, and again, not realistic, but has like those realism elements to it.
Okay, so would you say it sounds kind of like it's like a more realism based like Oblivion?
Oh yeah, okay. I think you're onto something there
Would you
because
say that's accurate?
I would say that's accurate. It's not
Okay.
first person, but as far as like the Elder Scrolls Oblivion art style and the way the world looks, imagine Cyrodiil, but kind of more like Elder Scrolls 2, where it's like to scale, basically. The
Okay.
map is ginormous, and there's basically no mounts. If there are mounts, they're quite late in the game, and there's not really an end state. There's like a main quest that kind of kicks off the story, kicks off the game that you can finish, but you can just keep playing and keep doing stuff.
Okay.
But I would say that as far as the realism elements, it being dedicated to third person, and there's also split screen co-op as well. So whether you play it on
Okay.
Xbox or play it on
Nice.
PC, you can do split
That's a
screen co-op as well, which is really fun.
that's a dying
Oh yeah.
component to video games.
Mhm.
Like a lot of games don't even have split screen anymore, which is
Mhm.
a bummer. But cool.
They want people to
Okay.
buy more consoles. Yeah.
Um, okay. But okay, so yeah, the I know that Salt and Sanctuary can be played entirely in co-op, and
It's
like I
basically
said,
2D Souls like,
yeah, it's
basically
2D
2D Dark
Souls
Souls.
like, and I said Metroidvania in air quotes, and that's only because Paul and I always go back and forth because
Right,
unfortunately
right.
True Achievements doesn't have the Metroidvania genre tag on Salt and Sanctuary.
Mhm. And they
Um,
don't have True Achievements doesn't have like a Souls like tag either. You guys
no,
like to be more accurate, more succinct.
everything that is a
Nothing is
Souls
broad
like,
like that.
the most closest thing that they do have that's pretty much on all the Souls like is action RPG.
Oh, and that could be, Outward could be considered an action RPG, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I told him I will get Salt and Sanctuary at some point. I've been waiting for it to go on sale on Xbox. It's still never been on sale. But I
Yeah.
told Paul I'm going to pick it up at some point. I did
It's
just last week buy Salt and Sanctuary. It's not
Salt
on
and
Xbox.
Sacrifice.
Thank you, Salt and Sacrifice, the sequel,
Right. Mhm.
because it is not on Xbox.
Okay.
It is only on. I don't know if it's on other consoles, but it's on Steam, and it was on sale, so I picked that up
Really? Really?
for a couple of
I would
dollars.
think that with Salt and Sanctuary being, I'm pretty sure Salt and Sanctuary released on the consoles and PC at the same time. I'm surprised that Salt and Sacrifice didn't release on consoles
Or at least not on
either at
Xbox.
all or not yet. I would have thought they would have been.
Yeah,
I thought they
I
would
would
have
have
came out
thought
around the
so
same
too,
time.
but I know that came out a few years ago as well, and it's still not on Xbox. And I looked it up before I
Right.
bought it on Steam, and I couldn't find anything that indicated it ever was going to come to Xbox. So I was like, all right, it's on sale on Steam for a good deal, so I'll go ahead and pick it up. But despite the weird thing is that the reviews are mixed, whereas the
For Salt and Sacrifice.
for Salt and Sacrifice, Salt and
Okay.
Sanctuary, I don't know if it was overwhelmingly positive, but I remember
Or
it was at
very
least
positive.
positive or very
Right.
positive. But Salt and Sacrifice was mixed. So I
Hmm.
messaged Paul
I
beforehand
wonder why.
asking about it, and he said, I don't remember what he said, but what he said reinforced, you know, my thinking, so I went ahead and picked it up. But it'll probably be a while till I get to it. But I'm pretty sure that Salt and Sacrifice also can be played entirely in co-op.
I would imagine so. I don't see why they'd take it out. That'd be a big mistake on their part.
Yeah, exactly. But Blasphemous 1, there absolutely is not any co-op. I doubt there's co-op in Blasphemous 2.
Okay.
When it comes to 2D Metroidvanias, co-op is very rare. I know, like
Shovel Knight, I think, or the newer Gold Knight, or Shovel Knight is insane. There's so much stuff to it, and I barely even played the first one. I know there's like a co-op mode in one of the standalone expansions or one of the sequel games, something like that. Or I don't even know if it was co-op through the campaign. It might have been like a battle mode or something like that.
I haven't played it, so I don't know. But that definitely seems like it would be a co-op game. But yeah, Metroidvanias typically are single player. I almost said first person. It's like, no, that's what we have a surprising lack of is first person.
Right. Basically just the Metroid Prime, Prime 2, Prime 3.
Yeah.
That's basically it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Superland and Journey to the Savage Planet. Journey to the Savage Planet can be played entirely in co-op, and there's achievements for co-op as well.
There you go.
Whenever I shout that out, if anyone has Journey to the Savage Planet on Xbox and wants to play, let me know. I'll be happy to.
Is there crossplay?
No, unfortunately, there's no crossplay.
Bummer. Okay.
But for co-op 2D Metroidvanias is pretty rare.
Right.
Yeah, we've got Salt and Sanctuary and Sacrifice. The Guacamelee games kind of have co-op. Do
you consider those Metroidvania?
Oh, absolutely. Those
I thought they were more like 2D beat 'em up platformer type things. I played.
They are that as well.
I played Guacamelee when it came out, and I got Turbo Edition as like a free upgrade. And I haven't played the sequel, but I
like the first one better, but they both were good games.
Okay. And
one
they
of my
are
buddies on
Metroidvania.
Definitely. But they are definitely beat 'em ups as well.
Mm-hmm.
One of my buddies on my Xbox group, I don't remember which Guacamelee game, but one of them is his favorite Metroidvania.
Very good, very good.
But and the comedy in those games are great. Lots of Easter eggs and statues in the background and stuff that reference other franchises. Right. You get your upgrades from a literal Chozo statue ripped straight out of Metroid.
Right.
So fun game. I definitely recommend them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But those
Guacamelee Turbo Edition goes on sale a ton. You can get it for like maybe even $5, if not $10.
On Xbox, I think it's on sale right now for like $3.
Oh, $3.
It might have been last week, but it might have been this week. I don't remember. But
and Steam Summer Sale is coming soon, so who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. Those ones aren't really co-op games because you can't really like play it in co-op. It's more like because there's the first player, but only I think like only the first player can actually move between the different screens, and it brings the other players along with them, sort of thing.
Right, I see.
And they drop in and out, and they don't have lives. I've never played them in co-op, but I heard they're actually way more difficult in co-op because your co-op partners can screw up your platforming challenges and make it more difficult for you.
I see.
So it sounds like it would be a lot of fun, but if you're trying to get through the game, I definitely would not recommend it. And I believe that it's only couch co-op. You cannot play it online co-op.
Oh, bummer.
So
I imagine if they wanted to do online co-op, they'd have to implement something like the most recent Lego Star Wars Skywalker collection, where you're on the same screen, but if you split up, and the camera will zoom out, it'll kind of split the screen up depending on where you are, and give you guys that free roam. But as you said, only the first player can kind of like move the map along and things like that, and the second person kind of mess with your platforming and whatnot. So I see what you're saying.
And then the only other ones, the Axiom. I haven't played Axiom Verge 2. I have it, but I haven't played it yet. But I have played the first one. I have not completed it yet. I still have to go back and get a few achievements in it. No, the first one did not. The second one, I believe, does have a co-op component where you do get an ability to shoot this little like walking drone, and you can when you're playing in single player, it just switches to the drone. But if you're playing in 2-player, the second player takes control of the drone. So it's sort of co-op, but not really.
Okay, it's kind of like a co-op assisted type thing, almost like Super Mario Galaxy type thing.
I'll have to take your word for it, but I don't
Okay.
know the
Yeah,
Super Mario Galaxy
Super
part,
Mario
but the
Galaxy,
first
the
part,
first
yes.
player is Mario, and the second player uses the Wii remote to like grab stars and pull them closer to Mario to run into and pick them up. Things. So it's
Okay.
kind of like an assistant. Second player
Yes,
isn't like Luigi; they're just kind of an assistant.
definitely. So, but yeah, that's. I think that's all I can think of
Mhm.
for the most part of Metroidvanias with co-op.
Yeah, you
So
were mentioning Axiom Verge. I know they're not the same thing, but they have kind of, in my mind at least, and it might just be me, but I also think of the first Risk of Rain, which I'm pretty sure had co-op as well. Obviously, the new Risk of Rain 2 is third person, and they have a much bigger world.
I never
Those
played the
aren't
first
exactly
one, so I don't. Is
the,
it not a
the
3D
first one.
game as well?
The first one is 2D. The second game, Risk of
Oh,
Rain 2,
okay.
is 3D. Has the same mechanics, except but it's in a 3D world. There's more to it. But the first Risk of Rain is 2D. I guess that would be considered more of a roguelite type game because it's a lot of
Yeah.
live, die, repeat, etc., and so forth. But I don't think it'd be considered. I mean, maybe it's tagged on Steam as Metroidvania, but I wouldn't consider it one.
From what little I played of Risk of Rain 2, I don't know how it could be considered
Right?
Metroidvania because
Yeah, it's like that, but 2D. Right.
there was literally zero progression in the game. You just unlock some different
Right.
skins. So,
Right. Right.
unless I didn't play it enough, I played it for a Melee Games community night.
hmm
Um,
It's basically, you go through the first level, and it's basically like that again, more like rogue light. If you die, you start over. I don't think you start from the very beginning. You start over from the level that you're currently on. Collect abilities, get different guns, things of that nature. And I again, you played some of Risk of Rain 2, you said.
yeah, I
It's
played it for a few
again
hours.
Risk of Rain 2. I played it for a couple hours. I refunded it because I wasn't really enjoying it that much. I enjoyed the 2D and the first Risk of Rain. Um, and yeah, I wouldn't say it's Metroidvania. Definitely more roguelite. Uh, a lot of roguelike elements to it. Um, and again, as far as 2D goes, I'm pretty sure that there is co-op. I think it might even be 4 player co-op. I know it's 8 player, or even 16 player in the sequel. I'm not quite sure.
In
It's been
Risk
a little
Rain
while.
2, I think it's like 4 player by default, but
Right.
the hosts can do mods, and that's what James did, so that we could
Very
play it
good.
with like 8 or up to 16 people.
Okay.
And that made a great game for the community night because only the
Oh
host
yeah.
needs to do that, not everyone.
Right.
Because some
Right.
other people have suggested games like that where it's
Mhm.
built for 4 players, but you can mod it to do more. But
Right.
everyone has to do the mods, and it's like that's too
Yeah.
complicated.
That's a massive pain. Massive pain.
So
And it's not an old enough game like Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, which has the co-op mod for it, and the modding scene is very much alive with it. And you can play modded co-op as long as your installs, your mod folders are exactly the same. The co-op will connect them together, and you have no problem with it.
yeah.
It has been out long enough for I don't even know if mod tools are deep enough to do something like that.
I don't know. So, before getting around, I asked you a little while ago, did you 100% the achievements in Helldivers? It's pretty easy.
I
Not
have not.
yet because I have not played it enough, but I do plan to 100% it. I just haven't been playing it that much because I don't ever boot it up and just go play it. I'll
Mhm.
only go play it when someone else is playing it and like they
Right.
invite me because I'm not going to play that game solo. I'm only going to
Oh,
play it
same,
co-op.
same.
So,
No desire to play it solo, and I have no idea what the more end game, if you will, achievements are like. I don't know if they're like extremely difficult or what have you.
I've looked through the achievement list, and if you just play the game, it looks pretty straightforward. You'll probably
Okay,
get all the achievements by just playing the
just
game
playing it.
enough.
Yeah. And that's how I like them
I've
personally.
got about half the achievements just from playing the game. I haven't even
Mhm.
I've literally not tried to get any of the achievements.
Right.
They'll just pop
Collect
up
some
when they do.
samples, finish in this amount of time, do this mission, do that mission, fight automatons, fight bugs, etc., so forth.
Yes, but if I'm assuming at some point they'll introduce new factions of enemies, and I would
Mhm.
guess that they'd probably add new achievements at
Yes,
that point.
they are adding a new faction. Should be coming out sometime in. I don't know if it's going to be late summer or autumn, but there is going to be a new faction coming to the game, which is part of the. It's in the lore. It's in the story.
Yeah.
I don't think they were in the first Helldivers,
Okay.
but in the second Helldivers, I know again part of the story. I know they'll be coming into the game eventually as a third faction to fight against.
Cool. So, all right. After that tangent, back to racing games.
Back to racing
So,
games. Let's go.
for what I don't know if I could say it got me into racing. But the first racing game
Mhm.
I remember playing at length was did I play? I mean, I played a couple of racing games on SNES. I don't think I
Mhm.
ever owned any.
Do any at arcades or at
Yeah,
like
I
movie
never
theaters, things like that?
I barely played any arcade games in my life.
Okay.
But the one that I did really like playing, I've only played it a couple times, but I
Mhm.
really liked playing at the arcade was I don't even remember what it was called, but it was this off-road rally racing. There was always three steering wheels, red, yellow, and
Mhm.
blue,
Right.
and you're kind of going over these jumps and stuff through this track.
Mhm.
You probably know what arcade cabinet I'm talking about.
Yeah, I can't think of the name, but I can picture it in my head definitely.
Um, that was a fun one. I only played it a few times because I was kind of the later end of the arcade era,
Mhm.
so it wasn't really my thing. I played it a couple times. I don't know if this was in the arcade, but I remember playing it at like a friend or a cousin's house when I was a kid, and I loved it, but I never owned it. Was Rock and Roll Racing on Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah,
I loved
Rocket.
that game.
I'm pretty sure it might not have. It almost certainly wasn't a direct port, but I'm pretty sure there were Rock and Roll Racing arcade
I
cabinets.
thought so, and I think that's
Mhm.
where I first saw the game, and then I saw someone
Mhm.
had it at home on their
Right.
SNES, and we played it, and I loved that game. But the game, I'm pretty sure the first racing game I owned, and I played a lot of it, was on N64. My grandparents got me the N64 racing wheel,
Mhm.
and it was San Francisco Rush.
Oh,
And I
okay.
know that
Okay.
game had an arcade cabinet, but I never
Yes, it
actually
did.
played the arcade version.
Hmm. Yeah, the arcade cabinet I would say is more of a how do I put this? Uh, Earlier or less detailed version of like Crazy Taxi, I would say, kind of similar to that in the arcades, in an arcade cabinet way.
Um, it- are you talking about like graphics wise, or because it wasn't like an open world type game?
Right. I would say more like I would say more graphics wise. I would
Okay.
say it kind of looked like that.
Yeah, I would say the graphics were very similar. Hey, yeah, Potater, what's up, Potater?
Potater. He's
Good to
also
see
part of the
you.
GCA. Good to see you, homie.
I'll say I've
Pleasure.
seen Potato around, but I don't think I've seen Potato here in my channel. Hello and welcome as we ramble on about video games. Right now, we're on the
Absolutely.
topic of racing games. We just
That's what you
started,
over.
and I was talking about what I think was my first real racing game I played at length with San Francisco Rush, and that was a fun
Mhm.
game because there were a lot of like hidden collectibles. Like each track
Right.
had like hidden keys, and if you found all the keys, you would unlock like additional race cars, and there was like some cheat codes for making your car heavy, super heavy, or the balloon, and it would be super
Right.
light, so you get
Hmm.
massive air, but it was hard to drive because
Right.
you didn't
Right.
have the weight to keep your car on the road.
Hmm. Hmm.
There weren't a lot of tracks on it, but I had a lot of fun playing that game. I think
Hmm.
that was the first racing game I remember playing at length, and the steering wheel was great for that.
Oh
What
yeah.
do you
Oh yeah.
remember? What game got you into racing games,
So
or did you already have a
I,
love of cars?
I well, my father passed on a love of cars to me, and I'm of course very appreciative of that. I remember my first racing game, and I think I remember the game that like hooked me and got me into racing games. The first racing game I ever played, not on the SNES, but on the N64, and again, you might not even consider this a racing game per se, but it was the Hot Wheels racing game on the N64. Not
Okay,
exactly sure of
never
the
played
name,
it.
but I remember playing it at my friend's house. I might have been 6 or 7 years old, something like that. And throughout my childhood and kind of into my tween years, my dad and I, when we had the opportunity, would absolutely destroy my ass in arcade racing games, which is something I carried over into my late teens and into my adulthood when I'd go out with girls to a movie or something. You know, the half hour before the show, we'd get on a racing game, and I would just be racing, just absolutely just destroying her, and shifting through and loving it. And we'd get through the game and finish. And I'd look over, I have a wide smile on my face. Of course, the whole time I'm just thinking about racing with my dad. I'm not thinking about beating her. I don't care about that. I'm just enjoying racing. Something I did like semi-pro as well. We do like S13s, S14s, and set up Jersey barriers in parking lots. We do some semi-pro racing. It was fun stuff.
Oh,
But
that
I'd
sounds
look
awesome.
over and she'd be like, I didn't really enjoy it. I was like, what? What are you talking about? We just had a great time. That was amazing. It's like, well, no, you had a great time. Actually, let's go.
We had a great time. We
yes,
did.
we did.
I'm telling
We
you,
did.
we had a great time.
Yeah, we did. But as far as the racing game that hooked me, that got me into racing games, um, again, there was the Hot Wheels game when I was younger. There's various cabinets, but it wouldn't be until going into my middle teen years, about 15, 16 years old, something like that, when Project Cars came out.
Okay.
And excuse me. I need to go back a little bit. That's Project Cars, and then Project Car 2's really solidified it. But before that, played a lot of Need for Speed games. Really enjoyed them. Most Wanted, played the heck out of Most Wanted. Played the heck out of Underground and
Most
Underground
Wanted,
2.
right?
The original, the 05 Most Wanted. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have the disc underneath my desk, PC CD.
I love that's probably my favorite Need for Speed game. I haven't played a lot of them, but I loved playing that one. And when I found out, guys, that was the 360 launch title. I was looking into it not that long ago, and I found out that game isn't even backwards compatible. I don't think.
Nope, no, it's not. But it's on.
I was like, how is that not backwards compatible?
DS, GameCube. It didn't come to the Wii. PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, original Xbox, Xbox 360, PC. It launched on like 8 systems at the same time. It had a DS version, which is crazy. But that's, again, I haven't played all of the Need for Speed games either, but Underground, Underground 2, and definitely Most Wanted, played the heck out of that. I liked Carbon as well afterwards, didn't play it as much. But when Need for Speed, when the company that was doing Need for Speed decided they wanted to go in kind of a more realistic way, they came out with Pro Street. I played a little bit of Pro Street, didn't like it as much.
Yeah, I didn't care for Pro Street as much either.
But then Shift came out.
I never played Shift.
I really enjoyed. And then Shift 2 came out shortly thereafter. And Shift 2 was a fantastic racing game. And I really loved it. And the same people who made Shift 2 went on to make Project Cars and Project Cars 2.
Oh, okay.
So after
Shift is like Need for Speed's first time doing a like realistic racer rather than arcade racer, right?
Exactly.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, they tried to do realism a little bit with Pro Street, but that was
it was still arcadey.
It was still really arcadey, and
Shift looked more like it was in the like Forza
Simcade. It was kind of in the like the Simcade area, yeah. And
it probably would be right in that. Like I think I mentioned on our last one how you got like the simulation racer at one end,
right,
which
like
is you got
racer over here,
your Forza, your Project Cars, your Gran Turismo, and then you got your Need for Speed racers over, and the other end is the arcade end. Right in the middle, for me, I say is Project Gotham Racing, which we'll get into. Would you say Shift is kind of there in the middle as well?
I would say Pro Street would be closer to the center, and then kind of like maybe 75% of the way there.
To simulation?
Kind of to simulation, yeah.
Is where Shift would fall?
Is where Shift, and especially Shift 2 would fall. Basically, like that Simcade simulation and arcade kind of mixed together. Gotcha. And then, of course, the company then went on to make Project Cars, which, depending on the settings you do, can be very much Simcade, or you can go just full bore and it's total simulation, especially with Project Cars 2, the new tire model they added. I really like Project Cars. When Project Cars 2 came out, again, maybe I was 20, I'm not exactly sure what year. I was probably like maybe 20, something like that, 22. But I played the crap out of Project Cars 2. And I got so good that I didn't have a wheel, although I've always wanted one, just never had the opportunity.
Simulation racing games, you have to have a wheel.
Dude, but I got so good at it that even with this, originally it was a 360 controller, then I upgraded eventually. I was able to turn all the assists off, all ABS off, have a proper tire model. I was able to play it super realistically with shifting, with clutch on my controller, and I
on the
loved
controller.
It.
That's
on a controller.
Nuts.
Oh, dude, I would go to Spa, or I'd go to Coda, or I'd go to whatever, and I'd get in a car that could easily do 220 miles an hour. All the assists off, playing on a controller. I loved it. I still have. In text files on my computer, my very, very, very specific settings so that I can control the vehicles with all the assists off with the controller.
Okay.
But yeah, nice. Project Cars 2, man. I didn't play Project Cars 3. Again, that went from the simcade to simulation, it kind of regressed a little bit into more arcadey elements, so I never bothered with it. And as I mentioned last time, I played my Xbox while I still had it for the last like year and a half was basically my Forza 4 machine. But when Project Cars 2 came out, I still have it installed. I still play it every once in a while. I absolutely love it.
Okay. I just had a thought, but I realized I think I had this thought when we last chatted. I was like, we should do a top 5 racing game sometime.
Yes, that was a thought. That's going to be on. That has to be on the list if you ever want to do.
Because I just went and pulled up my top 5 topics for future episodes, and racing is on there.
Right on. Oh
So,
yeah, I would definitely.
I was going to say my favorite racing games are, but I was like, wait a minute, I might need to save that for when we do the top 5 racing games.
I mean, I guess people already know what mine is now, so.
Yeah, but it'd be good to hear what the rest of them are for you.
Oh yeah.
So
let me list them all for you, shall I?
So
especially
cool.
you also mentioned as far as racing games go, you mentioned Codemasters. You mentioned the F1 games. I'm interested if you played any of the dirt games, which again are kind of like Simcade, a little more arcadey. And then they came out with Dirt Rally 2.0, which are very much, again, games that I played all the assists off with the controller. And I love this game. I love rally racing. I love watching Group B videos on YouTube. I mean, that's like the best era. It's some of the best racing ever, in my opinion.
Codemasters is great. So F1 2018 is the only F1 game I played. And like I said, I accidentally started it because I was working on an Xbox Quest where you had to
now you got to finish it,
play a race or something, or you didn't even have to complete the race. But I ended up finishing the race in first place, and there was an achievement for beating a race in first place, and I got an achievement, so it went on my tag. I was like, dang it. Not that I didn't enjoy it, because I like racing games, and I like sim racing games as well, but I wasn't ever intending on playing it until I accidentally got that achievement. But I have played, I'm looking through my list right now. I thought I had played more of Codemasters games, but it looks like
they put out a lot.
They have put out a lot. Did they also do Grid, or was that someone else?
They did do Grid. They did Grid. They did Grid 2, and then I think Grid 3 was called like Grid Autosport, I think, which again was a more Simcade, but it also had a really, really good campaign to it. I really enjoyed Grid Autosport.
Because I think Grid was, I played the demo. I never actually played the full game, but I think Grid was the first game I remember that introduced the rewind concept.
Yes. I don't know if I first experienced the rewind concept in Grid or in Forza 4. I guess it would depend on which one came out first, because I played both of them basically right after they came out. But I know Forza. Yeah, I think did Forza have it in 3 and in 2 as well? Because they didn't have it in the first one, I don't think.
Because Forza 1 and 1 was that? I'm pretty sure that was an original Xbox game.
That was an original Xbox game, kind of a little later in the cycle. Forza 2 was
Forza 2 was the first one I played on 360. Right. Was it a launch title?
It was either a launch title or within like 6 months, because then Forza 3 came out a couple years later, and Forza 4 came out like 2 years, I think, before the 360 came out.
Okay, so Forza 2 was May of 2007, so it was 2 years after the 360 came out, because it came out in November of 2005. So about a year and a half after it came out.
Okay.
That was the first Forza I played, and then I played Forza 3. And I'm pretty I don't remember Forza 2 had rewind. I don't think it did. Right. I'm pretty sure Forza 3 had rewind.
Okay.
But let's see here. I think Grid was like the first game that introduced the concept, and then
Forza. They showed it off in the I guess a year before it came out, when GameSpot or whatever was showing off the trailer. They showed off the rewind feature when they were racing that San Francisco map.
Yeah, and then
I remember that being a big thing.
Forza adopted it.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I just found out just now that there's kind of like most Need for Speed Most Wanted. They now have to put Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005, because there was another one in like 2012 or something like that.
Yeah,
that was which
was done by Criterion.
Criterion, that's right.
Criterion, because EA bought them. They put out Burnout Paradise, and they're like, you're going to make a new Need for Speed game. They made Most Wanted. I think they also did the remake of Hot Pursuit. I think Criterion also did that.
Or I can double check on that.
Doing it live, folks.
because I've got it
Absolutely.
right here. Because I
We have
did
the sum
play.
total of human knowledge in our hands.
I did play. Which one were we talking about? Hot Pursuit, right?
The remake,
Not the
Hot
original,
Pursuit.
the remake. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like
Yes, you were
20.
correct. It was Criterion.
Okay,
2010.
2010. Excuse me. 20. I guess 20. Yeah, 2012, 2013. That was when the new Most Wanted came out. Which
Yeah.
the racing was okay. I wasn't a fan of the
I
progression,
haven't
having to
played the
find
new
and
one.
unlock the cars. It. I mean, if you get an opportunity to, because if you have EA Play with Game Pass, install it and play it for a little bit. I'm pretty sure now all the DLC, because like half the cars were DLC that you had to pay for, all the various packs from various manufacturers. But the racing mechanics are
2012.
pretty solid,
Interesting.
and they
Need for
and
Speed,
cops are back.
the
So
Most Wanted remaster, or whatever you want to call it, also
remake. It was definitely a remake.
remake. Okay. Is it was Criterion as well, and it was also a 360 game, and is also not backwards compatible. So you can't play it on EA Play, at least not on
Of course,
Xbox.
you can play it on PC though. I know you can play it on PC.
Okay.
And considering when it came out, 12 years ago now, it runs absolutely fine, and it
Okay.
looks pretty good too. It has a lot of bloom and a lot of light filtering with like rain and things like that. The map's very shiny, but the car models, the interaction, there are some police in it. It's okay. I absolutely prefer '05 Most Wanted. Of course, I think that was the best Need for Speed has ever been. I think that's the
Yeah.
best that the cops have ever been, the best chases there's ever been. Of course, there's the mode where you can be a cop and be in like a C6 or C7 Corvette, a Z06
Yeah.
or a ZR1, something like that. I
Something like
really
that.
love that stuff. Really
Yeah.
love that stuff.
I never played the remake, so I was interested to hear what you thought of it. And that's kind of what I expected.
Yeah, just so. Why I had to
Um,
say it really short. So.
but yeah, like I mentioned on our last chat, Most Wanted, the 2005 is what made me fall in love with the Carrera GT.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And then we went on to talk about Carrera
It
GT
crashing.
crashed and Enzo's being crashed.
You haven't happened to watch Redline since then, have you?
No, I've been waiting to do it with you, homie.
Okay,
And I've
cool.
been waiting for Paul to show it. I know
Well,
Paul is doing his book club
that's
now, and
right.
next week, so next Wednesday or Thursday, we're going to be doing Nick Cage movies. So I'll be popping in.
I'm
do
hoping
Nick
to
Cage
make that
movie.
one.
Oh,
I
dude,
can't guarantee it.
Would love to have you if you could. Would love to.
I'd love to, but yeah, we got to watch it because that's a great terrible movie in my opinion.
Yeah. I look forward to it.
But
yeah,
anyways,
I'm saving myself for you, Neil. I do want to watch it.
Excellent. Yeah, I haven't watched it in forever, but I do remember watching it a couple times when it was relatively new. But I haven't watched it since. So I'll be.
How could you forget them launching that Carrera GT? My goodness.
I do look forward to watching it again. But anyways, where I was going with that is that Grid had a similar thing where there's now Grid in parentheses 2008.
Right. They did a relaunch
and a Grid 2019.
Yeah, they did a relaunch, which I thought was
200 to 300
not
hours.
exactly a remake, but I remember the trailer dropping, and I was kind of confused because it looked like a more modern game, but the trailer, you were driving the same car, you were up against the same grid of cars, and it was on the same San Francisco map as the very first track that you raced in the first Grid.
It's like try to differentiate it from the older game. Why don't you?
Yeah, it looked like it was like they didn't call it a remaster. They didn't call it a remake. I mean, although it's kind of implied it's a remake because they're calling it Grid, just year on the end of it. But I never played it, and I when I saw it, I was like, "Is this basically just Grid again, but like a decade later?" Grid was good, but you guys have done Grid 2. You guys did Grid Autosport, which do a sequel to Grid Autosport for crying out loud. But I know Codemaster has them in the factory putting out an F1 game every year. I think Dirt Rally 2.0 is still getting some updates. I think they're working on a Dirt Rally 3.0. They might be working on a Dirt 6 as well. Because Dirt 5 was a big deal when it came out. That was my impetus for finally, because I used to be on Vista for the longest time, and I finally upgraded to Windows 7. Yeah, really.
You held off upgrading to Windows 7?
Yeah, and I was only on Windows 7 for like a year, then I upgraded to Windows 10. And my
I thought you were going to say you went to Windows 8. And I was
no. I skipped.
Although I will give Windows 8.1 was not bad.
It's pretty okay, especially if you're on a tablet. It worked pretty well. if you use that user interface. But I got my 1060 6 GB, which is DirectX 12 compatible card, and Grid 5, which came out a number of years later, required DirectX 12. You had to have it. You could not run in DX11 mode. And that was my impetus to be like, okay, I guess I'm taking the weekend to upgrade to Windows 10, finally upgrade to Windows 10 and to play Grid 5, which again, more arcadey, but I know if you're familiar with the YouTube channel Donut, it's a car channel and they do a lot of car stuff on there. James and Nolan, who are two of the main hosts, have like a radio show type thing in Dirt 5 and kind of comment on your progress throughout the campaign. So when Dirt 5 came out, that was my impetus for upgrading to Windows 10 and being able to play it. It ran a little crappy, but old PC was still hanging in there.
I got to play it. So Potato is saying that he only recognized Project Cars because of Deadmau5. I'm assuming Deadmau5 is a major part of the music in that game.
I think there's Deadmau5 music in it. There was something that also happened around the same time, where Deadmau5 got in trouble with Ferrari, and we spoke about how Ferrari is very particular with some things. Jerry Crow was in here talking about it. You
informed me that they won't even let you buy a new one the first time. I didn't know that.
Yep, and at that time when Project Cars, I think it was around the same time. I don't know if they were connected or not. It might have just been a separate thing. Deadmau5, the Ferrari 458 Italia had just come out, and Deadmau5 did like literally a Nyan Cat rap on his car.
I love Nyan Cat.
And he changed the prancing pony Ferrari logo to a cat, and Ferrari sent him a cease and desist.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, because Ferrari is very serious about that stuff. I think he might have ended up selling the car, but I do know that he changed the badges back over. And as much as Ferrari was upset, he still kept the Nyan Cat rap to it.
The rap on it.
Yeah,
I love Nyan Cat.
Yeah, they called it a Ferrari, Rawre. So.
That's hilarious. And we got CLS Studio just dropping by to like the stream. See ya. I don't know if you're still here, but good to see you, CLS. Thanks for stopping by and dropping a like.
Many people, including Neo, including DJ Axes, told me to talk to you about music. One of these days, I look forward to doing so. I hope we're able to.
So I love the. I don't know if it's supposed to be Transformers, but it very much looks very Decepticon-ish. That's a new avatar from last time I saw you.
That's kind of.
I love the Matrix background. I'm all for it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look at us. Look at us. I'm in a carbon fiber future room, for crying out loud.
And Real Wade Nation is here saying hi. Wade. What's up, Wade? Good to see you as always,
Appreciate
buddy.
You tuning in,
homie. Yeah. So Grid has a Grid 2008 and a 2019. That's just something that I don't know if I mentioned on our last chat, but I've mentioned it on many times. Can we stop doing this thing where we call something the exact same as another thing in the same franchise from like a decade before?
Yeah.
Call of Duty's done it. Grid has done it. Need for Speed has done it. You got movies doing it. It's like I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there's movies that have the exact same name as another movie in their own franchise from like a decade ago. It's like, stop calling it the same freaking thing. Give it a new name or some sort of subtitle, something to differentiate it from the original movie or game or whatever piece of media property it is. Stop with this duplicate naming crap. It annoys the heck out of me.
I'm a big fan of Ben Croshaw. Yahtzee Croshaw used to be Zero Punctuation. The Escapist fell under. Now it's fully Ramblomatic on the new channel Second Wind. I remember when
I know that they became Second Wind, but I hadn't heard of fully. What was that?
Fully Ramblomatic.
Ramblomatic. I haven't heard that yet.
When Yahtzee in like 2008 started doing a show, he called it Fully Ramblomatic, and he did 2 episodes, and the Escapist immediately picked him up. And they called it
rebranded it to Zero Punctuation.
They rebranded it to Zero Punctuation.
I love Zero Punctuation. Those are great.
And then once Escapist fell through late last year, early this year, they started Second Wind. Yahtzee, everybody came over and they renamed it back to Fully Ramblomatic.
Okay, because Yahtzee was basically the main draw of Escapist,
for like the final 2 or 3 years of the Escapist, he was like the only thing that was
keeping people
going to the site. And their YouTube channel is dead. Like nobody's watching that. But Second Wind's doing quite well.
Okay.
But I remember very specifically you know, quite more recently, when Doom 2016 came out, it was called Doom, but literally everybody calls it Doom 2016. But
Yeah.
even earlier than that, I remember Yahtzee did an episode of Zero Punctuation where he had like 5 games where he just went off on them having the same
Oh,
name
I'm gonna find that. I'm
how
gonna
just
watch that.
absolutely confusing is. I'm not sure which games they were exactly. I'm not sure what the exact name of the episode is, but you'd probably be able to find it
I'll
easily.
go find it. I want to write that down.
So, and
Zero.
I feel on that when it comes to especially video games because it's a little different for books, which that doesn't really happen. It's a little different for movies, which again doesn't happen a ton, but it does happen, and that is annoying. But especially when it comes to video games, naming video games the same thing, especially 10 years
Prey.
post
Prey is
hoc.
another one.
Prey 2017 versus Prey 2006, which was id Tech 4 or 5, I think. Um, yeah, and those two games are totally different from each other. They're not even close to being the same thing.
They don't even seem like they're in the same
No, 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 no.
game universe, which I
Mhm.
don't think that they are. I don't
Yeah, yeah.
think that they've
It
ever claimed to
was
be in the same continuity.
no, no, they're not at all. I think when Bethesda, or I guess ZeniMax, acquired the studio that made Prey, they wanted to keep the brand name. They wanted to keep the name Prey, Prey.
Yeah.
And they just made a totally different game. I mean, I've played Prey 2017 a bunch. I don't think I've ever beat it, but I played like easily 100 hours of it. Played through it a whole
Oh,
bunch.
okay. It was
And
Venom
there's
Studios was the
Venom Studios.
developer,
Okay.
and Human Head. I
And
guess they collaborated on it.
yeah, and I think eventually, after ZeniMax acquired them, they rolled them into oh my
Arcane.
goodness,
Arcane.
Arcane Studios. Yes, thank you. Of course, I think why was Arcane did Dishonored, they did Dishonored 2, and then they wanted to use the Prey name, but they made a new game again, totally different from Prey 2005 or whatever. Came out shortly
Six.
after Doom 3.
2006.
2006 came shortly after Doom 3, which again was id Tech 4 or id Tech 5, I think, one of those.
I'm
Of
not.
course, they acquired id, the Doom games, etc. Quake.
I love the original Prey. That was a great game.
Oh yeah, the original Prey was a great game. It was very, very underrated. All 3 of the id Tech 5 games, Doom 3 plus its expansion, Prey, and oh gosh, what's the third one? It was Quake
Rage.
4. Quake 4.
Oh, Quake.
Quake
Okay.
4. Quake 4 had in my opinion, had a great campaign that I thought was underrated. The multiplayer was as played as much as like Team Arena or Quake 3 or anything like that. Um, but yeah, the first Rage came out. What was that, like 2011? I think that was id Tech 5. So yeah, I guess those 3 games were id
Okay.
Tech
Yeah,
4.
that sounds right.
Um,
I remember the engine at
yeah.
that time. Uh,
Oh gosh, what was the term that? Because John Carmack was still with them. It was super textures or something like that. Basically, if you were in an area and a wall, let's say, was 10 feet away from you, the texture was like 2048 by 2048. But if you're 100 feet away from it, it would look basically the same because the texture for the whole screen was still 2048 by 2048. And as you got closer to something, the texture size would increase, but the overall texture size for your entire screen would be the same. So if you were really far away, super textures or mega textures, I think it was mega
something
textures.
like that.
So if you were far away from something, it would look like it was far away. But as you got closer, the textures would change on the fly, and as you got closer and closer and closer and closer, it would appear as though it was getting more detailed, even though the size of the texture didn't change
Interesting.
overall. And that was a big thing. Prey was their first game that did it. They didn't do it in Prey 2, I don't think. By that time, John Carmack had left to join Facebook and join Meta to work on Oculus because he's always been on the forefront of video game technology.
I did
And
not
it
know that
was
he went to Facebook and
mhm,
worked on
yeah,
Oculus.
he left id to go to Facebook to work on Oculus. Yep,
Did
and
not
he
know that.
left last year over differences with how Meta, now Meta, formerly Facebook, um, was pursuing AI. because John Carmack is a freaking galaxy brain genius, and he is someone similar to, I guess, has similar takes to Elon Musk about, hey, we need to be careful with AI. We need to be very careful about how we advance and things of that nature. And John Carmack, working for Meta at Oculus, basically being in charge of development, had disagreements with how fast Mark Zuckerberg and Meta were moving with AI. And Carmack's like, you guys shouldn't do this. B, please listen to me because I know what I'm talking about. And C, it just, they weren't taking his advice. They went too far, and he's like, I have to leave. I don't want to be a part of, an AI takeover, basically.
The robot.
Now, I'm sure there's other politics involved there. There's other inside the company things going on, but he's someone who's like, we got to be very, very careful with AI. And Meta's just like, full steam ahead. We got to do it for the Chinese. We got to do it for Google. We got to do it for whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, howdy, Paul. Hope you feel
howdy, Paul. What's up? Good to see you, buddy. We talked about you earlier when we were talking about Salt and Sanctuary.
Mm-hmm. And Potato brought up with when I was speaking about Ferrari and Deadmau5, he brought up how Ferrari's going to cease and desist to Deadmau5. And then exactly, Deadmau5 basically said, F you, I'm going to Lamborghini. And again, Lamborghini, because of the culture that Ferrari has, again, you can't really buy a brand new one if you're a first time buyer, things of that nature. And they're very strict about their intellectual property. Lamborghini is like, you got 300 grand, buy a Lamborghini, put whatever rims you want on it, wrap it, color it however you want it, just go buck wild with it. And that's why, especially in like the last decade,
See,
every rapper, of course he's bringing it up. Of course.
No, I brought it up.
Well, he's just trying to get a rise. I'm telling a story, Paul. Dang it. Basically, like in the past decade, if you ever watch any sort of rap videos, all the cars are Lamborghinis because Lamborghinis, like, if you're buying a Lambo, you bought the Lambo, you do what you want with it. You're showing off the Lamborghini logo, and Lamborghini and Ferrari have both being Italian car companies, supercar companies, have always clashed at each other. Ferrari started with racing, Lamborghini started with tractors. They still make tractors, by the way. And they actually make very, very nice tractors. There are some European farmers that, if they can afford it, buy Lamborghini tractors still. They're very, very nice. But yeah, Lamborghini, as far as their supercars go, they're just like, if you buy it, you do whatever you want to it, and people do wild stuff, wild colors, wild wraps, wild rims. As long as you're showing off the Lamborghini, they don't care because people are buying more Lamborghinis.
All right. Yeah. Cool. Well, to go back to your question, I thought I had played more, but the only Dirt I have played was the original Dirt.
Mm-hmm. And wasn't it called? It still had the Colin McRae name to it for the first Dirt, correct? Or it was Colin McRae Racing, and then Dirt came out. I don't know if it still had the Colin. I know Colin McRae was in it, and they had the famous Subaru STI.
Yeah, I remember his name being associated with the game, but what I'm looking at right now does not show his name anywhere.
Okay.
At least on Xbox. But yeah,
I probably be the same on other platforms as well.
I did have fun with that game. I think I played the demo for a more recent one. I want to say it was Dirt 4 a year or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the only one I played and I did complete was Dirt. And I enjoyed that game.
I will say
I think I played it through what was it called? GameFly.
Oh my gosh, GameFly! Wow, the Netflix mailing DVDs of video games. Yeah. I remember that. My goodness,
because I no longer have it, and I played it in 2007. That would have been about the time I had GameFly.
Right. That'd be about the time GameFly was at its peak, I suppose.
Probably.
Regarding the Dirt games, real quick, I will say again, they get kind of they're already were a little bit arcadey, but kind of simcated in the beginning. Dirt 3 is when it got really arcadey and it got crazy. Dirt 4 was getting crazy. Dirt 5 was really crazy. I still think my favorite of the, not including Rally or any of the more simulation-based Dirt games, Dirt 2, in my opinion, is the best of the 5. It's the best Dirt game, I would say. If you haven't played Dirt 2, it's better Dirt 1.
Okay. I was tempted to play it, but I never did.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever play the Crew or the Crew 2? I haven't played the first Crew,
And
but I played the Crew 2 for like a year, and I played the heck out of it. I enjoyed that a lot as well.
I never played it, but maybe I will. Oh wait,
Oh, wait, exactly. My goodness.
because
I really appreciate what Ross is doing at Ross's Game Dungeon with trying to keep the original Crew alive. I know he's been working hard on that. He's had lawyers, had various other people. They have a case, I think, somewhere in the EU that's being heard by one of the EU countries. I think they're working with Australia as well. I'd love to see where that goes because I think they have really good points. And I think if they win, which I think they might, because I don't think they would lose. I think it would either be a win or it'd be thrown out. So once this goes through, I think it'll set really good precedent. And I would really like that.
yeah,
Plus, it would really, really be nice to kind of shove it to Ubisoft.
yeah,
Because Ubisoft has been very, maybe not outwardly with what they're saying, but they've been very anti-consumer as of late.
yeah.
As of late for quite some time, actually. But anyways.
Yeah, I would love to see that be successful, even though I've never played The Crew.
Mhm.
I thought The Crew was actually an EA game. I didn't even know it was Ubisoft until this
It was
whole
Ubisoft.
Crew shenanigans
Debacle,
came to be. When they basically shut down both games, you can no longer play it anymore. So, um, but yeah, no, I never did.
Now, I imagine you might, even if you weren't consciously thinking about it, you might have had in your mind when EA did the whole thing with SimCity when they relaunched that, how they said it had to be online only, and there was
Oh,
fighting for months and months and months and months with developers and EA, the publishers, making excuses about why it has to be online, why you have to play it online, it only works online, and then finally the dam broke, and it turned out it was just boop, it was just a switch, and you can play it offline. It was
yeah, they're
fine.
so full of
EA's
crap.
pulled
It's
that
like
shit
there
so
is
much.
zero reason why a SimCity game needs
Of
to be
course.
online. What was it just called SimCity, or did it have
I'm
a
pretty sure it was a
subtitle?
relaunch where they just called it SimCity.
Okay, 'cause, yeah, I remember that,
Like
and
2008, I think, somewhere around there, give or take a couple
I
years,
don't
maybe.
remember when, but yeah, I remember that being a big thing because
Oh, yeah.
it didn't even work, and you had to use
Exactly.
servers that weren't working, and people who
Exactly.
bought the game
People
couldn't
couldn't
even
play it.
play it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's what finally made the dam break. And tying this back into racing games and the Crew specifically, when it comes to both the Crew and the Crew 2, as far as I'm aware, the installs are massive. There's no streaming of textures or streaming of the map. You download everything and you pre-launch and pre-cache everything when you play. So there is, even if you're playing by yourself, just playing the game modes by yourself and whatnot, there is zero reason you should not be able to download the Crew and boot it up and play single player and drive over the map and play the game modes and things like that. Don't worry about online achievements. Don't worry about online leaderboards. You should be able to be in Miami and pop into an RX-7 and spend 2 hours driving to the Pacific Northwest. Because why not? Test Drive Unlimited 2 had something like that where they
Yeah,
drove around Big Island, Oahu, and Hawaii. And I know the new Test Drive is coming out soon. Hopefully, please don't be bad. Please be good. Please be good. Please be good. But yeah,
was it
I'd
well
love
because
some case law
Oahu is not the
precedents.
Big Island.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Oahu.
Was it
I'm
Oahu or was it the Big Island?
it was. See, now I'm confused. I've confused myself. Excuse me.
Because I remember that
Because
when that came
I
out, it was
think it
cool
was the
that they
Big
had the whole
Island.
island
I
was
think
the
it
game
was the
world.
Big Island, but I called it Oahu accidentally instead of what it's actually called. I'm not exactly sure,
I
but it
think that
was
was like
Big Island.
okay.
It took like
I remember that. It was
if you
cool. It's
I know
like it's an
you had
open
an
world racing game, and it's
mm-hmm,
the entire
mm-hmm.
island. That's pretty awesome.
Houses, you could buy clothes and things like that, which they're going to do in the new test drive. Which again, please don't suck, please don't suck, please don't suck. But again, I loved it because you could get in like an Aston Martin DB9, or I don't know if it was a DBS at that time. It was probably too early for that, and it would take you like 45 minutes to drive around the whole island. And I love that kind of thing. It reminded me of one of my
Oh,
racing games that I really love that you can't really get a hold of now. Fuel. I don't know if you've ever played Fuel,
I never
but that
played
game
Fuel, no, but I remember
had
that game.
a massive map. It was 100 kilometers by 100 or 95 by 95 kilometers. The
It's
map
something
was gigantic,
huge.
literally took like 2 hours to drive from one end to the other.
I remember
loved it.
seeing that on a list of games with some of the largest world
Yeah.
maps.
Yeah,
So
that Just Cause, Elder Scrolls 2, things like that.
it was Oahu. It was not the Big Island.
Oh, okay, so it was Oahu. So I was half credit, I guess.
Yeah.
Half credit.
But yeah, I never played Test Drive Unlimited, but being the open world, like the whole island, I was like, that's a pretty cool idea.
Pretty sure you could play solo Test Drive Unlimited too. And, it's kind of an old game now in comparison, but I'm pretty sure you could play it offline. You could play it solo. I would really enjoy it. And Vanquish, bringing up a really good point, saying he would kill for a Blur remake. Blur was a
What's up, Vanquish? Good to see you, buddy. I played the
man.
demo, and I was not a big fan of Blur,
it's
I
real,
don't understand
real Mario
because,
Kart, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was real Mario Kart, but it was from Bizarre, who was the guys behind PGR. So that's why I was really interested in it. And then I played the demo, and I did not care for it. The other game that came out around the same time that I was a big fan of was Split Second.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Split Second as well. Oh my goodness, those both came out, like you said, both came out around the same time. Both great racing games. And Split Second, they actually had Michael Bay in to.
That does not surprise me at all.
I don't know what.
Michael
really.
Bay, the racing game.
I'm not sure in what capacity, but basically, yeah, Michael Bay, the racing game. The game was this story, I guess, was you had everybody racing in these dilapidated cities that were going to be torn down, and so they're like, well, why not have people race, and then we'll actually demo the buildings while they're racing. And of course, they bring Michael Bay in to do that kind of whatever the word for it, consult on that for all the destruction. Split Second, again, another
that was
just
from
fantastic
Disney.
arcade racing game. It was from Disney.
I was blown away when I realized years later that was a Disney game. I was like, what?
That's why it's never coming back. And
I would kill for a Split Second sequel.
Vanquish Ash, it will never come back. It will never come back. And there will never be a Blur remake, I don't think.
Well, no, there won't be any Blur because Bizarre doesn't exist anymore.
Another company consumed and shut down.
Yeah. But I was looking at the crew, and yeah, as expected, the crew is offline, and all 50 achievements are disabled or discontinued. However, the crew 2 is still online. I thought they were both offline.
As far as I know, so the third crew, which came out, there's a third one now. It came out earlier this year or late last year. It's been less than a year, definitely. But I know that Ubisoft has said that the crew 2 will be going offline.
It hasn't done it yet. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's not called Crew 3. It's called Crew Motorfest, and it came out in September.
Motorfest. Okay, right.
Okay.
So it's been nearly a year, about.
Yeah, it's coming up on that.
Yeah, 8 months.
In a few months. Yeah. Ubisoft.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Ubisoft, just stop. That's why I really, really hope this goes through. I hope it's not thrown out, because if it's not thrown out, I really, really, really think with what Ross is doing, or is organizing, I suppose, I really think they have a great case. It'd be nice to have some case law on the books so that when these games go offline, they give us an opportunity to go in, just download the whole thing and just play it solo. Even if it's just solo, would love to. Or
like the source code should be made public or something, so that people can keep the game alive on their own servers and stuff.
Exactly, and that's something that's been done plenty of times before with plenty of games where either it had a really strong multiplayer or it had a single player that people really liked, but the servers dropped, or the game was no longer being patched or being looked over because they were looking at a sequel or what have you, or it's been 10 years hence since the game came out and there's been there's still a nice player base like Return to Castle Wolfenstein or Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, where they release the source code for it and people still play it. They're not making money off it. They're not charging people to play it. And as long as you're not doing that, you're fine. That's the way it should be, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I want to say it was on last week's open mic with Beard of Liberty. I think he told me, because we were kind of talking about that concept of games shutting down.
Right.
And because it was really recently, someone told me about this, so I'm pretty sure it was on that stream. But he was telling me about some. I don't even remember. I have to go and re-listen to the stream. But he was telling me about some studio that had to shut down their game, and that's exactly what they did. They like gave the game to the public. They're like, here,
Right.
this is yours now. Do with it as you will. It's like that's the way to do it.
Salutes in the chat to those guys. Absolutely. My goodness. That's the way you should do it.
Yeah. I don't remember who it was. I'll have to go back and listen to it. But I'm pretty sure it was on that stream because I remember just recently someone was telling me about that. But yes. So, but yeah, Bizarre. We did talk about PGR a bit last time.
Yeah, a little bit. Yep.
Talked about there's a couple of, I do have the 100% completion in PGR 3, not 4. I have 2 or 3 achievements left. I don't know if I'm ever going to go back and get them, but PGR 3 is one of my proudest completions.
Very nice. That
really
game
difficult achievements in that game.
Project Gotham Racing gets quite difficult towards the end.
But I loved that game. That's actually one of the games that, like I said, I don't do online gaming much. I played that game online for the fun of it a lot.
Right on.
The one thing I was pissed about was that they reset the leaderboards and everyone's rank went back to 0 at one point, and I was really high up there. I had to start all over again, which was kind of dumb. But
yeah, I hate when that happens. My goodness,
I had a lot of fun.
Especially nowadays, it happens a ton with the way season passes go. They reset leaderboards constantly in so many different games.
One of the game modes they added in a title update was, I think I mentioned it last time, was called Cat and Mouse, and that was so much fun.
Yes,
because it's not about being first. It was basically a 5-on-5 race, or maybe it was 4-on-4, and there was everyone was Class A cars, except each team had one Class E car, and the winner was that was the mouse, and the winner was whoever's team got their Class E across the finish line first. So you have all the A cars. You had some A cars trying to push their Class E car faster. While you had other A cars trying to crash into them and block them. And then you had your other Class A cars trying to defend their Class E car. It was so much fun, and it was crazy.
Oh, it sounds like a blast. Absolutely.
And I don't think I've ever seen that in another racing game. That was so much fun.
I can't think of modes like that. I know there were modes in, but this is more like real racing, like GT racing, where, you know, in like Forza, where you do like 24 hours of Le Mans, or Project Cars 2, where you can literally do it in 24 hours, where they have the various classes. But a game mode like that, very unique. I haven't heard of that in any other racing game, not at all.
Yeah, game type was so much fun. But I remember vividly one race when I was playing online. I was in I think I was in 3rd place coming into the final turn. And I might have mentioned this on our last one, but I just want to mention it again because
it was a long stream, guys. It was like 6 hours, and we spoke for like 90 minutes afterwards. So don't worry about it.
That's right. We still talked for like another hour and a half.
Oh yeah, it was like 8 hours total. It was crazy.
I forgot about that. But I still remember this vividly because it still angers me to this day. And if we had recording on Xbox 360 like we do on Xbox One, I definitely would have recorded it because I was furious. But I was in 3rd, coming around the final corner. The first guy was too far out. I knew I was never going to catch him. I was going to get close, but I knew that I could get 2nd. So we come into turn 3. Guy in 2nd place takes the turn a little bit too wide and a little bit too fast. I took the racing line pixel perfect. I came around the corner on the inside, perfectly past him. And then this dick was so salty that I took the corner perfectly and he didn't. He quarter paneled me and spun me out. He pitted me so that he could get 2nd place, and I ended up getting like 6th or something. I was so mad.
I hate
because I was like, "You're dirty little cheater."
Exactly.
I was so pissed.
Oh my gosh, that's the kind of stuff that also happened when.
If I was in the room with that guy, I would have punched him in the face.
Absolutely. I mean, in 2020 and 2021, where I think F1 did it, NASCAR definitely did it, where they did they had the most recent racing games, and they were all playing it from home for their race setups. There were people doing that kind of stuff. I'm like, you guys are professional freaking racers. I know it's a game that you guys are playing, but this is actually counting towards like the actual real life leaderboards for NASCAR or what have you. and there were guys doing that kind of stuff, and man, was it
That's
wild.
so dirty.
It was a
It's like in
wild time.
video
It's
games.
very dirty, very
Okay,
dirty.
but when you're doing simulation racing games or obviously real racing, that is
Oh yeah.
that is
Oh yeah,
so again
super dirty. Oh
super
yeah,
not
I
okay.
know. iRacing, which is a simulation racing game that's been going for quite some time. There's a subscription for it and things like that. Um, in their, I don't think it's in their terms of service, but in like their terms of play or behavior, the way you should conduct yourself. Doing things like that gets you IP banned.
Oh
So you'll
snap!
never, yeah. So if you decide to be a little bitch about something and pit somebody because they overtook you, and it's obvious, the person who's running that match can send it off to iRacing. You can get IP banned for it.
Nice. I just hope that it's not. They wouldn't do that if like it was an accident or something.
No,
They
no,
take
no.
it very
If it's
serious.
something super obvious like what happened to you, then yeah,
Yeah,
they would send off a ticket. They would look at the replay and they would see it, and they could see the inputs that the person was using, whether controller or a wheel, and they'd be able to. They've been doing this for years and years and years. They'd be able to tell if it was on purpose, and if it
yeah.
was, you're gone.
Okay. Yeah, this was super on purpose because we were in a straightaway
Mhm.
and he went into
They
me.
just came in ready
There's
to,
no way that was an accident.
hmm
But yeah, I remember
absolutely.
that race. I was so pissed, but I did love that game. That's I just love the perfect balance between simulation and racing in
Oh
PGR.
yeah, PGR was great for that. Absolutely, absolutely. It was like if Simulation Arcade, Simcade had to be put into a game, PGR 3, PGR 4, perfect,
Yeah,
perfect for
it's
that.
like the epitome of Simcade.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, very good stuff.
So,
Plus, you had a Ferrari F50 in there, which is pretty nice.
yeah, that was the best car in the game, which I
hmm
never used because it was a very difficult car to control.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, I did drive it, but I wasn't a fan of that car. It was one of my,
I
but I
prefer the
hated it
F40 anyways.
that if you wanted to, I, I haven't played it forever, and it's not backwards compatible,
Nor
so I'd
I.
have to boot it up in my 360. But I'm trying to remember whether PGR3 had S class or whether A class was the top tier.
I don't know. I know PGR 4 had S classes, E to S,
I'm
but I'm
pretty
not sure
sure
about PGR 3.
I'm pretty sure 3 had S class, but
Yeah.
whatever class it was in, it was the top class, and that was the best car in top class. But you had to be
hmm
really good to use it. But if you
Oh
wanted
yeah.
to, in the single player campaign, if you were going to do S class, you had to do that car, or there's no
Right.
chance of winning because you're going to
Right.
lose,
Exactly.
which I did not
Exactly.
like because
And,
it's like I don't like this car.
hmm
I want to play my other cars
hmm
that I actually do like, but
Right.
if you do it, you can't win. You can drive perfectly, and
Right.
they'll still
Right.
get in front of you.
And it didn't have a Forza system where you could like upgrade to a new class, for you could take a
No,
class C
every
and upgrade to a
car
class C. Every car was
was
as is.
as is exactly. So
Yeah.
each car had its pros and cons. You had to find the car that you liked,
Yeah.
but uh,
Fits very well with the F50 because much like the F40, there's no automatic braking system. There was no helping with lockup from the tires. There was no traction control, and there was no power steering in the
okay,
F50 either. So
interesting.
yeah, that transferred over very well into Project Gotham Racing, where it basically you're just a brick on wheels, and you're praying, Jesus, take the wheel, please.
Okay, that explains that because I did not know. I didn't know much about the actual F50, but
Mhm.
that does explain a lot. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I
very
did
similar
end
to
up.
NASCAR.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mentioned that.
NASCAR stock cars, they don't have power steering, they don't have ABS, they don't have traction control. Again,
Interesting.
it's just a V8, the tub that you're sitting in, the chassis, and the wheels, and whatever you're doing with the steering wheel, and whatever you're doing gear shifting, it's all driver. And that's why there were
I did not
people who
know
came
that.
over from F1 where there's a lot of computer assistance in the vehicles, and you see F1 tracks, see the F1 cars moving around, the crazy acceleration, things like that,
F1
and
cars are
go
awesome.
to oval racing in NASCAR. It's because you're maintaining such a high speed for so long with no assistance. It's all the driver, and it is intense. I know a
Okay.
lot of people, the stereotype is people will bring in their their cooler full of Coors Light or whatever and drink and wait for the crashes and stuff. But when it comes to actually racing stock cars, it is genuinely intense. It's very, very difficult to be good at.
Okay. All that stuff you were talking about with like the no assist and everything, that's how NASCAR is. Is that what
Yes.
you're saying as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I've never
NASCAR
watched
stock cars, there's
NASCAR.
no assist whatsoever. It's all driver.
Okay. Because I've never
No
watched
power
it.
steering.
I've always I've been of the mind of like,
Mhm.
ooh, driving in circles so
Well, yeah.
difficult
Yeah.
because I don't really know much about
Mhm.
NASCAR, but learning all that definitely
Yeah.
does give me more of an appreciation
Yeah,
for the
it's
sport.
it's it's the no assist, and even though you're driving in circles, it's because you're maintaining such a high speed, and that means things like drafting are very important. Make sure you take care of your tires, very important. And the differences between someone going 200 miles an hour and someone going 201 miles an hour at the end of the race could be like 10 laps.
Yeah, and the races are so long.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they're not 20-lap races like an F1 where they can be done in an hour. They take 3, 4, sometimes 5 hours, depending on what track you're on.
Okay, interesting. Because one time, because I played, I never really played much of PGR with my steering wheel because
Hmm.
it was it was more that's more of like a simulation racing thing. So I use my steering wheel for Forza 3 and 4. Or
Okay.
sorry, Forza 2 and 3. I never played Forza 4.
Okay.
Um I tried it once or twice with PGR, but I was like, that's a controller game. It's Forza that I use the
Right.
steering wheel with. But I remember after playing lots of Forza with the steering wheel, it legitimately made me a better driver in real life, which I think I mentioned
Hmm.
last time.
Yes.
One
Yes, indeed.
time during that time when I was playing a lot of Forza, I saw on TV somewhere, it was a race of people driving NASCARs,
Hmm.
but not on a NASCAR track. It was
Yep.
like an actual race car track.
Hmm.
And they were flying off the road and going all over the
Oh
place.
yeah.
I'm like, you
Oh
guys
yeah.
suck. I can do a better job than that.
They do that. I
But
think NASCAR does it twice a year. They go to Sebring in Florida, and they go to Coda in Texas, and those are street tracks with it's not just Noble. And again, instead of having 20 cars on the excuse me, please excuse me. Instead of having 20 cars on the grid like in F1, they have like near 50 cars on the grid. And again, with no
yeah, there were
assist and things like
tons.
that, there's way different setups for the cars. But especially when you're on flat street tracks, it gets wild with NASCAR. That's why whenever a NASCAR race is coming up, like to Sebring or Dakota, they announce that it's going to be a street race, and everybody who watches NASCAR tunes in for that because it is crazy.
Okay. But yeah, I was like, man, you guys suck. I can do a better job than that. But that's because I didn't know about the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, with the cars and how they
Hmm.
operate in relation to how like actual Formula One cars work and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, speaking of Forza, so I got Forza 2. I think I talked about on our last one why I swore off Forza, right? Does that sound
I don't
familiar?
think you mentioned why you swore off it. No,
Oh,
I
or
don't
did
think
I
so.
just mention it but not
You
get
might
into
have.
it?
I think you just mentioned it. You didn't get into it.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds right. I think I mentioned that I swore off Forza and I was going to get into it next time being tonight. So, okay. So, uh like I said, I had the 360 steering wheel. It was awesome. I got that when Forza 2 and then I love so much I got Forza 3. I think I got Forza 3 on launch.
Okay.
And played the heck out of both of them. I'm only missing one achievement in both games, and that both have to do with online because I just played it versus the AI. I never went online and played it.
Mhm.
Well, sorry, Forza 2. My last achievement is for the online for earning like 1,000,000 credits online. I was like, I'm not going to play the online enough to ever get that one, so I didn't worry about it.
Right.
The
Right.
one achievement I'm missing in Forza 3, I was working on it, and I never got it, and that's why I swore off Forza games. And so the last achievement that I do not have in Forza 3 is for getting gold in all races. Do you want to
Okay.
hazard a guess how many races there are in Forza 3
In
that you have
Forza
to get
3,
gold on in order to get this achievement?
well, I know roughly how many races there are in Forza 4, including its expansions. For 3, I mean, if you give or take 25, maybe. I'd say maybe 400.
I wish it was only 400.
Oh my goodness.
There are 969 races in Forza 3.
Holy smokes.
And you have to get a
Wow.
gold in every single one of them, which isn't
Oh my
difficult
God.
because you can get a gold on
But
any
that's
difficulty.
time consuming, man.
Very
Holy,
time
nearly
consuming.
1,000 races?
Nearly
Wow.
1,000 races. I
Oh my
had
gosh.
gold in probably around 920, 940. So I was at the very
Yeah,
ending stretch,
that close. Yeah.
this close to getting the achievement.
And
And this is
this is all offline. You're doing this solo, right? You don't have to do this online?
no, this is yeah, it's
Oh,
all in
okay.
the campaign.
Okay.
And this is unfortunately before the era of cloud saves.
Oh no.
My
I have
data
an
got
idea where this is
corrupted
going.
and I lost
Oh,
everything.
oh no, Neo.
I was so
Oh,
furious
oh, my heart hurts for you, brother.
because
Truly,
I
it
came
does.
back to
Oh my
play it one
gosh.
day like I normally do, and I was starting from scratch. I'm like, WTF, where's all my saves?
Yeah.
Gone.
Snap that disc. Get the
I
out of
did
here.
not
My
snap the
goodness.
disc, but
I might
I
have.
it wasn't the game's fault, it was my Xbox's fault. And that was that
Pull a
hurt.
boogie 2988 with the baseball bat on the Xbox.
That hurt far more than 3 Red Rings of Death did.
Oh, dude.
By
I
a
imagine
long
it would.
shot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, things are expensive. Money is money, but at least you could buy a new Xbox or you can RMI it or whatever. But to put that much time in to get, near 950 races out of nearly 969, so nearly 1,000.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Oh,
And
my
a lot
gosh.
of those,
That's painful to hear, brother.
and there was a good chunk of those were my actual favorite races in the game were the endurance races. That's the only
Hmm.
time you actually have to pit because you actually
Right.
all the other races are typically like 3 to 7 laps, but some
Hmm.
of the tracks are kind of long. So one of those 7 lap races could take like 20 to 30
Hmm.
minutes.
But the endurance races
Probably
are up to like 2 hours, roughly, sometimes a little longer.
I'd probably say the average race time across the entire campaign is probably between like 15 to 20 minutes because
Mhm.
in the earlier races they're shorter, they're like 5 minutes. In
Mhm.
the later races I'd probably say maybe more like the average is 10 to 15 minutes
Okay.
because you do a couple more laps and the tracks are a little bit longer, but it's still not a huge time commitment per
Right.
race. The
Just real quick,
endurance races,
though, if you were to say that all the races averaged out to 15 minutes each, there's 969 races. That's 242 and a quarter hours.
that sounds about right. I just looked at it, and the estimated completion time says 150 to 200 hours. So that's
Hmm.
probably on the low end of the
Yeah, I
spectrum.
would say that's on the low end. Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, the endurance races were actually my favorite. But those are you start sweating because uh,
Yeah.
I think rewind was disabled. So and
Oh,
I played
okay.
it. You could turn off damage, but I played with damage on. So you could get to the end of the
Same.
race, someone hits you, you're out of the race. You got to do the whole thing over
Right.
again. I
Right.
don't remember that ever happening, except for
Mhm.
maybe once, but it
Mhm.
could happen. The worst is when it's not even another car's fault and you go off the track for being an idiot and crash into the wall and total your
Right.
car at the end of a
Right.
race.
Oh,
But the endurance
gosh.
races where you actually have to pit because your tires wear out, you
Yeah.
run
You
low
need
on gas.
fuel.
You don't have to do that with the non-endurance races, but the
Right.
shortest endurance race is about 45 minutes. The
Mhm.
longest one is probably like 2.5 hours.
Right.
So those are some long
Right.
time commitments.
Mhm.
There weren't a ton of those
Mhm.
because they're so much longer.
Mhm.
But yeah, I was this close to getting that all gold medals and lost my data.
Right.
That was
Oh,
one of the most maddening video
oh
game
yeah.
things
Oh
ever.
yeah.
I gave my Forza 2 and 3 copies and my steering wheel to my friend. I was like, it's yours. You can have it. I'm done with Forza forever.
My goodness.
The only
My
Forza I've
goodness.
played since was for a Game Pass quest. I think I did the first race in Forza Horizon 4 and then
Okay.
the recent Forza Horizon 5. And that's the
Okay.
only Forza I've played since because
Apparently they're
I
quite good.
still hold a grudge against it to this day. I know that they're good games and I would enjoy them, but I've sworn off Forza because it angered me so bad, and
Right.
that was like 15
Right.
years ago, and I will still never give that let go of that
Yeah,
grudge.
I think the only Horizon game I ever played was the first one, and I really enjoyed it. I know a bunch of them have come to PC, but my PC can't really run them that well. And if I can't run it at 60 at 1080p, I'm not going to bother, even with the graphics all the way down. I have to have it 60 frames per second, 1080p. But tying back again to what you were saying about progress and losing progress, and it didn't have a data corruption, but in Project Cars 2, first off, when you start a career, there's 6 different types. You can start from karts, you could start from some club racing, you could start in endurance racing, and as you get towards the end of
Okay.
endurance racing, they have 12 hours of Sebring, 24 hours of Le Mans, and you can choose before the race starts if you want to do 1.2 hours of Sebring or 2.4 hours of Le Mans, or if you want to do 12 hours of Sebring or 24 hours of Le Mans.
Do it in real
And
time.
there's an achievement, real time with real time tire wear, real time fuel usage. I decided that
Can you pause?
so you can
Okay.
kind of.
Okay. I'm curious.
So if you're doing the full length, no kidding, like Le Mans, for instance, 24 hours, there is a kind of a save state method. You don't need a trainer or anything for it. It works in game. You can pause the game and you can leave it running if you desire. But there's a few opportunities where every I think it's 3 or 4 hours. Once you've hit that mark and you pit, you can quit the session and you'll pick up from that pit. So basically, when you
Okay, so it's
start the
got like a
game,
checkpoint.
you'll auto leave your pit. You'll leave pit lane and you'll get back into the race.
That's nice.
So I decided
'Cause-
because I wanted to get the 24-hour achievement, because there is an achievement for doing the whole 24 hours of Le Mans. Not there is one for the 2.4 hours, but also for the 24 hours.
Nice.
I was in hour maybe 17, and since it's real time and it's real weather and things like that, it tells you at the beginning of the race what the weather's going to be like. And I knew that there was a chance, it was like maybe 50 or 60% chance of rain around the 17 or 18-hour mark. Go
And
ahead.
I'm assuming there's no rewind. And this is with realistic damage as well. So if you
This is
get
realistic damage.
you're
Again,
screwed, you got
no
to do it all over
assists.
again.
Yep.
Okay,
And
that's what I
so
figured.
we get to about hours. I say myself, riding. I think I'm doing I'm not doing any prototype cars. I'm in the one below that in the GTLM. So the fastest production cars without getting into the prototype cars. And we get to hour 17, it starts to drizzle. And it starts to drizzle and it starts to rain. I go in, I get rain tires, and in about 45 minutes, lightning comes down. And it's raining hard. And it's dark because it's like race 24-hour Le Mans starts like 8 to 9 a.m. So if
So you're
it's going
racing
to be
through the night
around,
as well. I didn't even
yeah,
think of that.
exactly, the whole day. So for around the 18-hour mark, at this point, it's about 2 a.m.
In
roughly. So it's
in game,
very
right?
in game, yes.
Okay.
So it's very dark, and it is raining cats and dogs, and I'm handling it well. I do about 6 or 7 laps in the rain, about 20 miles an hour slower, but I'm doing okay. I'm keeping pace. I'm keeping my position. I think I might have even overtaken once. But I go to turn onto the Mulsanne straight, and in the middle, of course, the old Le Mans, the Mulsanne straight used to be completely straight. A few decades ago, they introduced the chicane into the middle, where you really, really have to slow down to like 25 miles an hour to handle it, and you can hit
No.
easily over 200 on that straight. And I get down to the chicane. I'm slowing down. I'm slowing down. I'm slowing down. I'm slowing down. And there had been an accident with the AI in front, and I thought it was just up against the barrier in front of this chicane. As the chicane goes forward, chicane's left, chicane's right, and straightens back out. So I thought on this wall there was just a car there. I'm like, okay, if I stay on the road, I'm not going to hit it. However, the AI that caused the accident got hit so hard that its taillights went out. And in
Oh
the middle of the
no.
road, on the racing line for when you take the chicane, I ran into him so hard that I blew my tires and I broke the frame of my car, and I immediately DNF'd at past the 18-hour mark.
Oh
And I
no.
was so upset because I'd been working on this. Was like the third day I was working on it. I took a weekend. I was playing like 6 hours a day roughly
Okay.
to try and get that finished.
Oh, that
And it was like
sucks.
a little after 18 hours, and I hit that car and I DNF'd. And I was like, you know what? I love this game. I'm going to keep playing it. But next time I do it, I'm not going to bother with that achievement. I'm going to do 2.4 hours. Let it be that.
So you've
Man,
never gone back and done the 24-hour again?
never gone back to do the 24-hour. No, the longest I've ever done in that, again, is a 2.4 hour. I did 2.4 hours of Le Mans and was able to do that. And then again, it still does the whole 24-hour cycle, just accelerated 10 times faster. So if the rain were to last 2 hours, instead, it only lasts a tenth of that. Tires wear down 10 times faster. Fuel consumption is 10 times faster, etc.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're still having to pit just as much.
Right. It just scales it based on time. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
So do you think you'll ever give it another shot, or?
I mean, now that I've hit 30 and I got a lady that I'm engaged to and things like that, I doubt it. But
Yeah.
I'll definitely in the future, maybe for a little bit, boot up Project Cars and be playing that again, because Project Cars 2 is still my favorite racing game. Has been top. Didn't like Project Cars 3. Didn't even bother buying it. But Project Cars 2,
Oh,
I love.
interesting.
Still, that's absolutely my favorite game, and I will absolutely keep playing it until I die, I guess, because you can play the game solo and a single player. Everything works fine single player. You could even do like the multiplayer custom matches are just filled with AI, so you don't need to go
Gotcha.
online for it or anything like that. And there's mods for it, and there's plenty of customization for controls, especially someone like me who uses a controller.
I was
So
just going to ask, were you doing that with the
I
controllers as
was.
well?
I
Okay.
was. Yeah, no wheel, all controller the whole way. Again, all assists off. Everything as realistic as possible. Realistic damage. That's how, instead of just busting something up and you just having like one tail light, it actually broke the frame, and that was DNF.
That
I was
sucks.
not the
Okay.
same as losing nearly 250 hours of progress due to corrupt save file, but I wanted to empathize with you some, Neo. I did the best I could.
I feel for you. I do. Because not that long, but there was at least once where I had one of those endurance races where either I screwed up late into it, or one of the AI drove into me and screwed up my car, and I had to do the whole endurance race. Nowhere near as long as that, but
Mhm.
I feel your pain. When would you say that was? When did that happen?
Oh goodness. Do you mean like in my past, or like as I was playing the career?
Like when you were doing this 24-hour race, would you say that was like in like 2020,
Oh
or
goodness.
what? How long ago was
Let's
that?
say let's see. Let me check real quick. When did? Come on now. Let me check really quick. When Project Cars
While you're
2
looking that
came
up,
out. Go ahead.
Christian saying, but I hope Path of Neo gets backwards compatible someday. I hope so too. That is one of the two games that I've mentioned that I have on original Xbox that is not backwards compatible. And then
Mhm.
when I was on with Carl on RNG recently, he informed me that one of the two games that I thought was not backwards compatible was backwards compatible, and that was the Star Wars Episode 3 game. So now the
Very good.
only game that I'm missing is the Path of Neo game, which I want to play again, but I have
Very
nothing
good.
to play it on. So I very much hope
Mm.
so. I don't expect we'll ever get any more updates to backwards compatibility, but I would love that. And we also have Lord of the Rings fanatics. What's up? I don't think I've seen you here before, but welcome, and
Good to
hope you
see you,
enjoy
Lord of the
our
Rings.
rambling about video games.
Oh, absolutely. Hope you're enjoying it. So, Project Cars 2 came out in September of 2017.
Okay.
I got it, I would say, within like 6 months. And so I would say it was probably summer of 2019, I would say, when I
Okay.
was doing that. I remember specifically because I was watching a YouTuber who uploaded like 3 videos a day, each about 20 minutes apiece. And like 2 times a week, I would queue up a playlist of like 10 of his videos. And then I'd boot up and I'd play for like 2 hours each. And I do that. I did that, again, 2, 3 times a week for months and months and months and months. That's the game that I played basically when I wasn't doing anything else. That's what I played. And so it was probably around probably around autumn or winter of 2019 when things had kind of slowed down, and there wasn't a lot to do around the house. And I was single at the time, and so my weekends were pretty free, pretty open. And so I probably did it on like I probably started Friday night at like 6 or 7 p.m. Did some Saturday morning, did some Saturday evening, did some Sunday morning, did some Sunday evening. Although I probably did do it Sunday evening. It was probably Sunday morning when the accident happened. But I'd say it's around there. Around there.
Okay. Yeah, just curious on about when it was that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
bummer, I feel for you.
Oh
So,
yeah.
all right.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for racing stuff. Unless there's anything else you
Sure.
wanted to talk about.
As far as racing is considered, I've pretty much said my piece. If you have anything else, please go ahead. If not, we
Um,
can move on. Sure.
uh, I don't know if we mentioned it at all. No, we did briefly mention it, but the Need for Speed Hot Pursuit
Hmm.
like remake or whatever, because there was
Yeah.
the original one like on PS1 or PS2. I never played that one,
Yeah,
but I
and it
did
was
play
on
the one.
GameCube and it was on PC, and the GameCube, the PlayStation 2, and the PC versions were all different from each other. And I'm
Oh,
pretty sure most people say the PC version was the best. The
interesting.
PlayStation 2 version, some people say is the best, but it's probably like in the second. The GameCube one was like the most simple one, I'd say. Again, those tiny little mini discs that they use, not micro, but mini CDs, I think,
Yeah,
were what the GameCube used.
yeah. So I never played the original, but I did play the 360 one. That was like we were talking about earlier, games with the exact same name,
Hmm.
Need for Speed Hot Pursuit.
Yeah.
I got it. I played it a little bit. I didn't get it at launch. I don't think. Let's see here. It came out in
And the
oh
remake of Hot, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but
no,
the
no
remake
worries.
of Hot Pursuit that came out in 2013 or 2015,
2010.
2010, excuse me. A couple of years ago, they didn't release a Hot Pursuit 2, but they did a remaster of
That's
that
where I
Hot
was
Pursuit as
going with
well.
this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please continue.
Getting
Didn't mean to
ahead of
jump you.
me.
My bad.
But yeah, it came out in November of 2010. I think I got it for Christmas that year because I
Mhm.
started it. I got my first achievement in it in January of January of 2011. So I think I got it for Christmas. I played it a little bit, got a few achievements, and then I didn't touch it for. Let's see here. I had like 5 or 6 achievements in January. And,
Okay.
it looks more like maybe about 15 achievements.
Okay.
And then I didn't touch it again until December of 2018. So I went almost that would have been about 8 years without playing
Mhm.
it, and then I picked it up. I'm like, all
Ooh.
right, I'm gonna finish it. So I finished it off. I did have to buy the DLC because they added some DLC for it.
Mhm.
I enjoyed it for the most part. I hate the one thing that I hated about it was the rubber banding. I hate,
Yeah.
hate rubber banding.
Same.
Um,
Same.
because I don't remember having. I remember there was 2 races in the game that I had some difficulty with. One
Mhm.
was just because it was really difficult,
Mhm.
and the other racers were just really good.
Mhm.
And it took a lot of attempts, and you had to be like pixel perfect the entire race in order to get first
Right.
place.
Right.
And then the other one was this game's version of an endurance race where there
Okay.
was a race that went around the entire world map.
Right. Right. Right.
And it was
Okay.
frustrating because the rubber banding was ridiculous. I had to
Yeah.
do this race like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
I was out in first. I had a lead of like literally like 30 seconds, probably
Oh.
like
Oh
four
yeah.
or five times, and I still didn't
Yep.
win because the
Yep.
rubber banding. All of a sudden, we're in the last
Yeah.
mile, and 4 cars just pass me when I'm going
Yeah.
full speed on a straightaway.
Yeah.
Like, what is this crap?
Especially in the Hot Pursuit remake. The rubber banding again. Need for Speed has had issues with this.
And it was a
I mean,
long
until
race
now,
too.
basically. But especially if you're doing such a long race that you can get like 30 seconds ahead of the nearest car to you. The rubber banding is such that, again, you're on a straightaway, you're going full speed. They're rubber banding up and then past you. And it's
And then
kind
I
of like this
lose in the
weird
last
one to,
quarter mile.
yeah,
It's so
exactly,
dumb.
exactly.
I hated
It's
it.
this weird one-to-one thing where, or at least how I've perceived it when I played it, where, let's say you're 30 seconds ahead of a car and it rubber bands up to you. It'll then rubber band past you to be like 15, 20, 30 seconds ahead. And then you don't get to rubber band, and it might slow itself down a little bit or go back to being normal instead of whatever hyper movement it was using.
Yeah.
And then, if you only have like a lap left, good luck, gaining 30 seconds in a lap unless they mess up, which
Yeah, or
who
like,
knows.
it was a one lap race, but it weren't on the entire game map, so it was
Hmm.
like a 20-minute race, and I got this huge lead every time, and all of a sudden, phew, and I lose in the last quarter mile or something. It was so infuriating.
Yeah,
But I did finally
that is
pull it off, and I
infuriating.
got the completion. But where I was going with that is just that they did the remaster, as you were mentioning,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah, just a few
and
years ago.
yeah, it was. Let's see. Oh,
Well, by the way, I did want to say to everybody who might be watching, when lockdowns hit, years got really weird. So for the past like year and a half, 2 years, I've been off with years by like 2 to 4 years,
oh
and
yeah, that was a year ago.
I
That was
still
5 years
haven't
ago, dude.
recovered. 5 years ago, okay.
No,
So I
I'm just
still haven't exactly recovered, but man, I still, when I'm thinking about dates or how old I was in a certain year, even though I know how old I am, I know when I was born, etc. Um,
yeah.
Still, when I'm trying to think about dates, like I kept saying Hot Pursuit came out in like 2015. You kept repeating many
I
times
wouldn't have known
that
it,
it
but
came
I
out
had
in
to look it up.
2010. But yeah, we're doing it live, and if I'm throwing out wrong dates, Neo's correcting me. I'll absolutely take his word on it. Like I said, we have the sum total of human knowledge at our fingertips. I'm just off the hip with this because I love these conversations. I love talking with Neo. And if I'm wrong about something, I'm wrong about something, we'll correct it as we go.
Yeah, the time dilation was real because you're like, oh yeah, that came out like a year or two ago.
Oh my
The Need
gosh,
for
yeah.
Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered came out in November of 2020, so
Okay,
it's about 3.5 years. So,
right.
anyways, like I said, the 360 version had like 4 or 5 DLCs, and it
It did,
had
yes. Okay.
I think it had 4 DLCs, and it had a total of 72 achievements worth 1,390 gamer score. Why they didn't
I
just
don't
make it
remember the PC version
1,400?
having any DLC. I don't think so. I don't
They
think the
might
PC
not
version
have, but
had
on
DLC.
360 it had some DLC. It had like a
Okay.
Porsche DLC. I think it had a BMW DLC.
Oh yeah.
Let's
Oh,
see here.
definitely with Porsche. Porsche is weird about using their IP in games. Like I was mentioning last time I was on open mic, where it was a year after Forza 4 came out. They finally got Porsche
Oh,
cars in the game
you know what?
because of
I didn't
licensing. Porsche is
even.
really weird about licensing in video games.
That makes a lot of sense because I didn't think about it till literally just now, and I had totally forgotten about this.
Mhm.
In PGR, there are no Porsches,
Yep.
but the models themselves are in the game, but there's no
Mhm.
Porsche manufacturer.
Mhm.
It's called RUF, RUF.
So rough
Can you
RUF is
enlighten me on what the heck that is? I don't know to this
rough
day.
Rough is a German manufacturing car manufacturer. And what they do is they take Porsche 911s and they have a deal with them and they tune them up. They make them absolute bangers, like the Rough Yellowbird, a beautiful car, very expensive, very fast, based on a Porsche 911 style Carrera GT. And Rough, basically, that what racing games have done because of this is can't get Porsche licenses, but they can get a license from Roof, and they can have what is effectively a 911 in your game, and it's a real car. You can actually get one,
I'd never even
but
heard of this.
because Porsche is weird, Porsche, excuse me, is weird with their licensing. A lot of game developers go to Rough, get some of their cars into the game, and then you basically have Porsches. But yes,
That makes
that's a
sense.
real car company. They take real Porsches, they tune them up, they give them roof badges, and they're basically just like hyper Porsches, basically.
Okay, interesting. Because yeah, I'd totally forgotten about that, but I remember playing it. As like, why is this? It has the models of Porsche cars, but it says
Mhm.
rough. I was like, what the heck is this rough? I literally
It's
never knew what
because they
rough
are
was until
Porsches.
just now.
Hmm.
So thank you for enlightening me on that.
You are so
Freaking
very welcome, my friend.
15 years later, I
I
had totally
remember when I
forgotten
first
about
saw
it.
them, I had no idea. I had to look it up. But yeah, they're real
Uh,
things.
well, cool.
The rough Yellowbird,
I think
which
that
was one of
was
their
in
first.
PGR
It
three.
was again based on like I think it was like 1987 Porsche 911, or I guess it would have been a Porsche Carrera GT or Porsche Carrera, excuse me. But again, a 911 model, maybe a 9112 or a 915. Um, it held for a number of years. It held the lap record for the Nürburgring Nordschleife, the 13-mile
Really?
track in Germany.
That
Yes,
was my favorite track in PGR. I love that track.
The roof Yellowbird for a number of years held the track record.
Nice
for production cars. Yep.
Nice. But yeah, so there was, I think, 4 DLCs in Hot Pursuit. There was the Super Sports pack, the Armed and Dangerous pack, then there was the Lamborghini Untamed, and then there was the Porsche Unleashed.
There we go. Oh, calling back to Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed. There you go.
And there were 72 achievements for 1,390 gamer score. I don't know why they didn't just make it 1,400.
That's a really weird number.
Yeah, but they did the same thing with the Mass Effect Legendary Collection. It's like 2,930 games. Yeah. It's like, why not just make it 3,000? There's 3 games,
right? Or 2,900 even, which I'd prefer 3,000, but at least give it 0-0. Give us something like that.
Yeah, but anyways, the remaster has all that content built into the game, so you don't have to buy any DLC.
Good.
But it has 66 achievements, but it's only worth 1,000 gamer score. So you're still doing all the same work, but for 390 less gamer score. Because they wanted to make it.
Why?
They made it the 1,000 even. So.
Oh my goodness!
It's like, and that was some of those last achievements were pretty tough. So I was like, I was considering playing it, but I was like, the same work for less gamer score. It's like, I'll pass.
I'll tell you what, I picked up and put down Hot Pursuit a few different times because I was surprised at how difficult it was to start. I was quite surprised at how difficult it was to start. It took me like maybe 3 attempts before I finally got into it and actually started playing it for real.
That's probably why I put it down for so long, because I wasn't digging it at the beginning. It took me a while to get into it.
Yeah, the first like 2 hours or so, especially with the cars you have and even the cars you're up against, especially with the bad rubber banding, I put it down a few different times before I finally picked it up and dedicated myself to learning the mechanics, because there are some drifting mechanics in there to maintain your speed, which wasn't in other Need for Speed games. I know they are now, but that's kind of like one of the first ones. And I've never been a fan of that. Like, if I'm going to drift, I'm going to drift, and it should be a drifting track and a drift race. If I'm going to be racing on the road or some type of street, or if I'm going to be racing on a track, I don't want to do drifting to maintain my speed. That's not how cars actually work per se. Yeah. So and I was racing like a racing game, and I was constantly understeering, and people were zooming past me on the racing line because they were doing that weird little drift thing. I'm like, okay. For Mario Kart, that's one thing. But for even a Need for Speed game, even for an arcade racing game, wasn't really my thing. It took me a while to get used to it.
Yeah. One thing that did help with the progression, although it was almost like a double-edged sword, is that early on in the game, I forget what type of races they were called, but you got to do a race in one of the like super top-end cars, but it was only for that race. You don't get to unlock it. It's like, here's a preview. Yeah, here's a preview of a car you'll get in like 20 hours from now or something. Way down the line. So it's like, this is cool that I get to drive this car, but it's like, I want to drive it now. I don't want to wait till I get to the end of the game to finally be able to unlock it to actually drive it in any race that I choose. So,
there's a few racing games that do that. That say, hey, here's an invitation only to race these fancy cars that you might not be able to purchase. Forza 4 did it a lot. I knew there were a lot in the career, in the calendar. You could see races that were coming up that were invitation only. If you did well enough in the races that month or what have you, the races previously, you get invited to and you get to race like a nice car, whether it's a classic kind of slowish car or like a really nice fast supercar. You can experience that, and then, of course, afterwards you're like, okay, what cars can I sell on the market to make enough money to be able to just buy this outright? That kind of thing.
So. Angry Canadian is here. What's up, Angry Canadian? Good to see you, buddy. Just got done streaming with one of the best tubers on this side of the internet. Yeah, he just got off RNG with Carl.
Let's go, baby.
Mentioned that at the beginning. I am very much looking forward to catching the replay of that.
You guys, and I will be on Carl's channel on the 31st.
Yeah, shout out. Yeah, Carl's great. Angry Canadian is great, too.
Absolutely. I hope Japan's treating you well, AC.
Yeah. What do you guys think about Horizon versus Motorsport? So we were kind of talking about that I have never played any of the Horizon games. I've only played the Motorsport games because I swore off the Forza franchise.
You said you did a tad of Forza 4, or am I mistaken?
No, I never played Forza 4 because...
Okay, never.
I swore
Forza
off.
Horizon 4, excuse me.
Yeah, I
Like
played the
CAD.
first race in Forza Horizon 4 and the first race in Forza Horizon 5 because I did it for a Game Pass quest.
Okay.
But that's it. But yeah, I swore off Forza games before Forza, the original Forza 4 Motorsport came out. So I've not played anything past Forza 3, Forza Motorsport 3, which if you want to know why, you can catch it on
Just
the replay because
rewind.
I went into
yeah.
it on why I swore off the Forza games. They are
And
great games, and I would enjoy
AC,
them, but
it
I
hurt
swore
my
them
heart.
off.
It hurt my heart to hear it. I'll tell you what.
So, have you played? Since you probably have a little bit more experience in the Horizon versus the Motorsport games, what do you think about the two? Because I think I like what they did with the Horizon games, making it more arcadey and opening it up to more casuals who aren't into the simulation racing.
Fun, especially for online.
Yeah, I just never played it, but I'm sure I would have liked it.
As far as preference goes, again, the last Forza that I played, I guess, would be Horizon. The last Forza Motorsport game I played was Forza 4, and I enjoyed the heck out of that. If I had to choose between Horizon or Motorsport, I would choose Forza Motorsport, although I did enjoy Horizon. The first one, again, was only 30 frames per second. It was on the Xbox 360. I liked it. I beat it. I enjoyed it. If my PC could handle it, I'd love to play Forza Horizon 4 or Forza Horizon 5. I know Forza Motorsport has kind of fallen off with Forza 7 and Forza 8, so I'm not really interested in those. I would love an opportunity to, if I don't know how Forza 5 is doing on the PC now, because it's been quite some time since the Xbox launched in 2014, so it's been a decade. But if Forza Horizon, or excuse me, if I could and my PC could run it and the games were still there, probably what I would do is I would get Forza Motorsport 5, and then I would get Forza Horizon probably 4, and I would play those. I still think I'd probably prefer Forza Motorsport to Forza Horizon, but I do enjoy both of them. I just think they're two totally different things. And I think the company behind them is better at the motorsport games, at Forza Motorsport, than they are at Horizon as far as
because they're two different ones. Because Turn 10 is Forza Motorsport, right? And then Playground Games is the Horizon games.
But I thought Playground was a break-off of Turn 10. I thought they were related in some way. Or maybe that was just from an acquisition, and then they put...
That very well may be, but I'm pretty sure they split the two branches of Forza to different developers.
Okay.
But I could be wrong about that.
I like when Turn 10 is allowed to, thanks Microsoft, they do well, in my opinion. So yeah, AC, definitely prefer Forza Motorsport to Horizon. You said you like the Hot Wheels DLC for Horizon 3. Maybe that'll, if Horizon 3 is on the PC, maybe that'll be the one I try. Maybe it'll be able to run better on my PC. Who knows?
I've heard the Hot Wheels DLC is good. Although they have a Hot Wheels DLC for Forza Horizon 5 as well, I believe. Or maybe it was 4. 5.
Or maybe they do. They might have for all 3.
Yeah, it could be. Horizon 5 is Mexico and Horizon 4 was Europe or England, right?
Horizon 4 was England. So. Horizon 5 is like Mexico and like mainly in the Yucatan. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then he's saying if EA F1 ever gets off their lazy butts, then make an F1 VR game, I would be sold. That would be dope.
It would be dope. I have a feeling though, if EA were to step to the plate like that, Codemasters would be. All right, guys, the next F1 game is going to be a banger.
So, all right. Okay. Let's see here. I think that'll wrap it up for a racing game talk.
Let's do something quick for the next 20 minutes. Let's not hold you on too long. Get you some sleep.
No, I'm good to go still for a while if you want.
Sure.
Because this is one that I have very much been looking forward to talking to you about because we just barely touched on it. Speaking of Michael Bay earlier, Michael Bay the racing game, this is what I call Michael Bay the game. Open world destruction, wingsuits, parachutes, grappling hook. Where am I going with it? Iron Man without the Iron Man suit.
Just Cause, baby.
Just Cause. My favorite
Let's
open world
go.
gaming
Let's
series.
go.
My
The
favorite
best Iron
open
Man
world.
game ever, period.
Yes. Angry Canadian is saying, I just looked it up. Playground and Turn 10 are both under the Forza umbrella, but separate devs. Okay, that's
They
what I
are separate
thought.
devs. Okay.
That's what I
Neil
figured.
was correct on that.
So,
Yeah. After our conversation last time, when we finally left the green room and went our separate ways to go to bed, because it was like, ended up being like 7:30 or 8 a.m., something like that, my time. Before I went to bed, I installed or started the download for Just Cause 3.
yes.
And I haven't been gaming a lot in the past couple of months because I've been busy with streams and things like that. I've been busy with this. And I, just every time I play it, I love it even more. I love that game so much. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. Get in there, do the first couple missions, really quick. Get into the Sky whatever DLC,
the Sky Fortress DLC.
Sky Fortress DLC, so that I can get the powered wingsuit
Yes.
and really quickly unlock the ability rather to launch from the ground or launch out of water. Which launching
That
out
was
of
a
water,
game
my goodness,
changer.
absolutely a game changer. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Just talking about it right now makes me
And
want
then
to
I don't
boot it up
touch
because I haven't
cars.
played it in a while.
And then I don't touch cars, and I don't even bother with the grappling hook. I just do my best to just tap the trigger to boost myself along, to just fly everywhere. I don't care if it takes me longer. I skip jets, skip helicopters, don't care. I want to fly. I love it.
So I'm assuming, like me, Just Cause 3 is your favorite in the franchise.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just Cause 4, I had some issues with it running. When I finally did get it running, the map was smaller. It wasn't as fun. The jetpack was a little weird.
I did not care for the
introduced
jetpack
like these
and the
balloon
wingsuit
things that you could use as part of destruction, which I wasn't really a fan of. I felt Just Cause 3 was the perfect successor to Just Cause 2. Added just enough, added that powered wingsuit, and that's where I want it.
Yeah, I've completed all 4 games 100%.
Okay.
I think I was the very first one on Xbox to have the series completion after the final DLC came out for Just Cause 4.
Get out. Really?
Yeah. Unfortunately, people are higher on me than on that leaderboard now, because I think I did briefly get into this last time, because
possibly
Just Cause 4 has a Japanese stack, or maybe it was Just Cause 2. One of the games has a Japanese stack, which I haven't played, and because some people have played it, I have. That means if they've gotten all the completion in all the normal versions and then get one achievement in the Japanese version, that puts them over me because they now have higher score than me.
So
I would need to play the Japanese version to get back up there. But I was the first person to have 100% completion on Xbox in the entire series,
baby.
After that last DLC came out.
Let's go.
But yeah, Just Cause 4 was fun. There was a lot of things I didn't like about it as much as 3. 3 is definitely by far my favorite in the franchise.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If someone hasn't played it, I would say skip 1. 1 is not very good.
Don't bother with 1. You could possibly even skip Just Cause 2, but
I would not recommend that. A lot of people consider 2 to be the best one.
A lot of people do consider 2 to be best. And again, if you want to do 3, you can do 3, but you could skip 2. I wouldn't. I think Just Cause, like Neo, I think Just Cause 2 is another fantastic game. And Just Cause 2 and Just Cause 3 are different enough that you can not consider them they're separate per se, but you can kind of consider them their own. You play them differently. And I would definitely say don't skip Just Cause 2. Skip the first one, that's fine. Maybe watch a 15-minute breakdown on YouTube. But definitely play Just Cause 2 and absolutely play Just Cause 3. Again, wasn't really a fan of 4. Neo can tell you more about 4 if we get into it. But yeah, Just Cause 2 and Just Cause 3.
Yeah, beautiful. 2 was a 360 game. 3 and 4 were Xbox One or comparable. PC. They were on every platform, so or whatever comparable alternative platform. But I liked what they did with the as you mentioned in 4, there's all the different like grappling hook things that you can customize and set the settings the way you like it. It was great for just causing all sorts of crazy chaos and mayhem. Which you couldn't do in 3. But just
because
overall,
3 you just had the grappling hooks to pull things together or to launch things into other things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
I
greatly
noticed that
expanded
in four.
upon the grappling
Yeah,
hook abilities in 4,
yeah,
which was
you
great.
could switch grappling hooks, right? You could actually change to different ones.
Yeah, there was
Okay,
like 3 or 4 different things that you could change the settings on the slider bar for the grappling
right,
hook
right.
in 4. But just overall, I didn't care for probably the number one thing that made me not dislike 4, but not like it as much as 3
Mhm,
was the wingsuit was even not even the when you completely ignoring the powered wingsuit, just
mhm,
the base wingsuit
right.
didn't feel as good in 4 as it did in 3.
Okay.
So that'd be
Yeah.
the number one thing I would say that caused me to not put it as high as 4. There are a bunch of other things in 4 that I wouldn't put it
What
as
was
high
kind
as
of the
3.
difference between I mean, because the wingsuit, I mean, again, best Iron Man game, Just Cause 3. What was the? I only played Just Cause 4 for a little bit. Again, a lot of it is left my mind. Why do you say that the wingsuit in 4 is like, eh,
The
compared to
it's
Just Cause 3?
the turn radius was annoying. Their turns were like
Mm,
way wider. You couldn't turn as sharp.
okay.
Um, and
And
you
like
know you
grappling to accelerate and things like that. Was that different?
That was the same,
Okay.
from what I
Okay.
remember. The top speed of your glide on your in 4 was way slower, so it took you a lot
Ooh.
longer to get places when you're using the
Ooh, I
wingsuit.
wonder if they did that because the map was so much smaller. It might have been something, and the
It
weird
was still
storms
a
and
big
things like
map,
that.
though.
You were able to like catch tornadoes in your suit, right? So you could like fly
Yes.
into it and kind of like lift you up and whatever.
Yeah, there was one persistent tornado on the map at all times, which was kind of
Hmm.
cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, you could go into it and fly around in it, and obviously very
Right,
unrealistic, but it was fun to
right,
do.
right.
Um, But that's not something you would ever rely on. That was more of like a gimmick.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, the top speed of your glide was so much slower.
Hmm.
And when you did
Remember
get
that too.
the when you did get the upgraded wingsuit with the power and the
Hmm.
rockets and stuff, it
Hmm.
was nowhere near as good as the powered wingsuit in 3. Because
That's
in
so
3,
surprising. That's so
in
surprising because when the air, land, and sky, or air, land, and sea rather, pack and individually came out. DLC came out for Just Cause 3. The Sky Fortress, that was like the one. I mean, I think even on Steam you can check the ratings; it's still like very positive
and that was the first
compared to the other
DLC that
ones.
came out.
And it was thankfully it was the first one that came out, and you could say that it kind of ruined it for the rest of the DLs for the rest of the game
Setting
because
it
you had a wingsuit for everything, anywhere, wherever you are. Especially if you're doing Sea Fortress and your boat blew up, you could just jump up at it with your wingsuit, get onto land, fast travel, things like that. But I'm surprised that they didn't just basically. I mean, first off, you should improve it, but if you're not going to improve it, why make it worse? Why? Make it
why?
slower,
Why?
make it not as fun?
Why?
Like what?
Why?
Why? Why?
Yeah. The And even when you got the powered wingsuit, its top speed was slower than 3. The weapons weren't as good as the powered
Right.
wingsuit in 3.
Machine guns and the
And
rockets.
when you're trying to do tight turns, you want to hit the brakes so you can turn tighter.
Yeah, you do those nice air brakes and you can
But in
turn on a
4,
dime,
you
basically.
if you because obviously if you brake too long, you'll lose your
Mhm.
momentum and you'll just start falling.
Right,
And
right.
that would happen quicker in 4 than it would in 3. So
Okay.
that another thing, you couldn't turn quite as sharp because
Right. You said it was quite a wide turn radius.
the turn radius is wider, and when you do the brake turn, you
Hmm.
essentially stall faster.
Mm.
So those are
Okay,
a
I
lot of
see.
things on
I
why I
see.
didn't like 4 as much. It was still a good game, but and the game map is arguably better because a lot of
Mhm.
3s was open water.
Empty, empty and open, and a lot.
Um,
Oh my gosh! Like easily a third of the map was just water. Especially the bottom left hand section of the map was just water, empty.
yeah. Um, and Just Cause 4 was basically all one big island. There was
Right, right.
very little reason to go into the water.
Okay,
Um, so I'll give that the map was probably better.
okay.
But yeah, the and I would say if you do play it, I would say just to give the game the way it was meant to be played a little more of a chance.
Sure.
Don't go and get the powered wingsuit immediately. try
Right,
to play
right, right.
some of the game the way it was intended because it really
Yeah,
is a game changer and kind of
yep,
breaks the game and makes it too
it
easy.
does. It
It
does,
does
yeah.
make it way more fun.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean,
So, but I mean, that
there is
game is
definitely
meant to be played
satisfaction.
to,
Oh, go ahead, I'm so sorry, please.
yeah, the game is meant to be played to have fun and blow stuff up. So,
Oh, yeah,
yes, do
absolutely.
that. But if you want to try to give the game a chance
Mhm,
to the way it was meant to be played, try to hold off on getting the Bavarian wingsuit a little
mhm,
bit.
mhm.
But yeah, what were
And
you just gonna say?
I was just gonna say in regards to what you're saying about holding off to getting the powered wingsuit, the Bavarian powered wingsuit, um, things like gliding and grapple boosting, getting good at that, once you learn it and get good at it, it's actually really fun to do. And I imagine it in Just Cause 4, it might even be faster than the powered wingsuit. Because if you are really cooking and you're really tearing ass, you can grapple boost yourself like crazy in Just Cause 3. I think you can even be faster than full boost with the Bavarian wingsuit.
Yeah, probably.
Mhm.
Um,
Plus, with the Bavarian wingsuit in Just Cause 3, it if you're using the regular wingsuit and you're grapple boosting, you could do it very, very low to the ground. But you could turn on and off upgrades for basically everything in Just Cause 3. But if you have the
yes.
Bavarian wingsuit, if you're doing it that low to the ground, your chances of stopping, closing wingsuit, and just standing up, breaking the flow of that, you know, get do again what Neo said. And even if you get Just Cause 3 with the DLC, save
Which
Sky
you can get
Fortress,
on
save Sky
sale for
Fortress to
very
like maybe.
cheap very
Oh
often.
yeah, oh
You
yeah.
can get the
For like
game and the
ten
DLC for
bucks,
like
you can
less
get
than
all of
10
it.
bucks very
Yeah,
often.
yeah. Save Sky Fortress. Save Sky Fortress for like I don't know, maybe 12 hours into the game. I'd say get the, get used to the grapple boost. Get good at that. You'll really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Then once you've destroyed enough bases, you've liberated enough islands and things like that. Go ahead, do Sky Fortress, get the wingsuit, quickly knock out the challenges for it, get all the upgrades, and then just go have a blast.
Yeah. Because yeah, the DLCs don't really have anything to do with like beating the
Nope,
story in the game, so you're
nope.
not
You
gonna
can
like
do them
spoil
whenever.
anything. You
You
can
can
do them
do them
whenever.
whenever. Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
so
They open up like specifically. I remember when I was playing because I didn't beat it the most recent time that I booted up and played it, but I did play it a bunch. I know that Sky Fortress unlocks first. You get a message from the lady who runs the company or what have you, and I know with the way it worked for me was when I completed the fourth story mission. I think is when the Land Mech DLC unlocks,
okay, that was
and
the second DLC.
you were just talking to what's his name, your CIA guy, at the end of the mission that I was playing, and then I got a call from him, which I thought was for the next story mission, but it ended up being for the Mech DLC. And as long as you're aware of that, it it doesn't really interrupt the flow of the game. You can kind of again take the DLC as it comes to you. There's just a little bit you have to do. A few missions, like three missions in Skyforce, then three missions in the mech, then like three missions, and the fancy boat that you get for the Water Fortress one or whatever, and like that weird area out way art west in the water.
Yeah.
But you could do them whenever, especially the mech one. I love the mech one because you can even start with one of the mechs. It doesn't have any guns on it, but it has like the Bavarium like telekinetic powers basically.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I love once you get the ability to call in those things and go around and just wrecking house, destroying stuff. I love that, especially jumping out really quick, trying to open up one of the barricades to unlock to get to the generators. And instead of shooting at it or blowing it up, you can use the mech to grab it and just destroy it instantly. It's so much fun.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, that all the DLCs in that game are really fun. But yeah, as you're saying, like with the wingsuit, like I said,
Mhm.
I'll boot it up every once in a while, and I'll just not even use the Bavarian wingsuit. I'll just glide and grapple
Disable it and
boost
use the regular one. Yeah.
because obviously when you're boosting, you can hear it. It's
Hmm.
fun to just it's just super chill to just grapple boost and use your wingsuit to glide around the island,
Oh
right
yeah,
above the ground, and just
very soothing.
listen to the music. It's really soothing because it's basically in a made up Mediterranean Italian uh,
Yeah,
type
yeah.
uh,
It's kind of like
island.
if like Costa Rica was in the Mediterranean and speaking Spanish. It's some kind of like that.
Yeah,
Excuse
so
me.
it's a very tropical setting.
Mhm. Very beautiful. I
And
would say every time I play the game, I would spend at least 20 minutes just grappling and wingsuiting around just to enjoy floating
yeah,
around.
just
I
chilling,
love
floating
doing that.
around, listening to music,
Oh yeah.
gliding.
Oh
That
yeah. Heck,
that's
let's do a
fun.
podcast even if you want. It's fun to do. It's fun to do. You can boot up the game, loads real fast. You jump right in, grapple up somewhere high, start gliding, grapple boost, do whatever, and just enjoy it. Just enjoy looking at the world.
It's a pretty game world too. If
Hmm.
I have some time tonight, I might boot it up and play a little bit before I go to bed. But we got
Right
Carl from the RNG
on. Hey,
podcast
Carl, we were
saying,
talking about
"Hey,
you
sexy people."
recently.
Yeah, because you and
Hey,
Angry
sexy you,
Canadian
Carl.
were
Looking forward to speaking with you on the 31st, my friend.
yeah, they were on RNG tonight. I'm very much looking forward to watching that. I don't know if I'll get it tonight, but I will definitely watch in the replay.
Yeah, I'm
But
looking forward to the VOD as well.
Canadians asking, why do people consider 2 better than 3? I don't
You give
know.
your thoughts.
2 is a good game, but I thought 3 was better in every regard. So if you know why people consider 2 better, I would love to hear it.
So I don't know. I don't know per se. I haven't really looked into it. I have some. I have some educated guesses. I would say. Um, I think that not necessarily better for anything that I'm about to say in regards to 2 compared to 3. I don't think it's necessarily better, but I think the story for Just Cause 2 is a really good story. I very much like the whole sloth demon reveal that happens with your CIA handler. A little bit of a spoiler, but you won't see it coming. Really,
And the
believe me.
story isn't really
Um,
anything to
and,
write home about in the
and the
Just Cause
story's
games.
nothing to seriously write home about now, but
It's all
the
set pieces to do something
Mhm.
ridiculous over
Oh
the
yeah, it's
top.
all set pieces to destroy stuff, and that's another thing. The destruction of the game again, not better than Just Cause 3, but it has its own little quirks and uniquenesses to it that I would say you might get more enjoyment out of it. The gun, I will say though, in my opinion, the gunplay is better in Just Cause 2 than Just Cause 3. They
Okay.
both kind of operate the same way. They have this kind of ish auto aim to it. And when it comes to Just Cause 3, pistols, shotguns, rifles, things like sniper rifles, things like that, machine guns, there's really only like 2 or 3 options, and then the rest are either crazy DLC weapons or like crazy advanced weapons. In Just Cause 2, there's I don't think there's more guns in total, but I think there's slightly more variety, and they distinguish themselves a little more.
Okay.
Plus, I think again, just an educated guess. I think another reason why people might consider Just Cause 2 to be better than Just Cause 3 is, like we were saying with the Bavarian wingsuit, with the Sky Fortress DLC being unlocked so early. There's a phenomenon in video games where people who play video games will play them in such a manner that they become so efficient and so good at them that they basically play the fun out of the game. And in Just Cause 2, there really isn't any temptation to do that because you don't have, for instance, the big one, the automated Bavarian wingsuit to fly around basically from the beginning of the game.
Because Just
So,
Cause 2, I don't even think had a wingsuit. I think it was just
no,
grapple and parachute.
no, it
The
was
wingsuit
just
came in
grapple and
3,
parachute. It was just grapple and parachute.
which is
Yep.
a game changer, the wingsuit is.
Hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. It was just grapple and parachute, and yeah, the way that I'm sure someone like you, Neo, or like Dude, who are achievement hunters, can play a game, and you play it in such a way that you can sometimes play the fun out of it. You're playing it in such a way to be so efficient that
You're describing
yeah,
achievement
yeah,
hunters, Jake.
exactly, exactly. Basically, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. And in Just Cause 2, again, my final word on it is that you don't have that temptation to kind of ruin the fun for yourself. It's basically you have all the mechanics basically from the start. There's a couple of things you get along the way, um, but you can't outgame yourself. You can't psych yourself out. You can't be so efficient that the game is no longer fun. And the whole Just Cause 2 game, it ramps up. There's bigger areas to destroy, more areas to destroy, more difficulty, things of that nature. And it's a good game. They're both really good games. I prefer 3 personally, but I can kind of follow it, although I don't know exactly. I can kind of follow the train of thought as to why people might think Just Cause 2 is better.
Yeah, I would love to talk to someone who likes 2 better, just to
Yeah.
hear their thoughts.
Personally, haven't met anyone or that I know of who's admitted so, but I'd be interested to know as well.
But yeah, online there's a general consensus that 2 is the best, but I think 3 is like, I'd say like 3 is way up here, then 2 is here, then yeah, and then 4. I'd probably
And
say
then
there's probably
one's
yeah,
on the ground.
between 2, 3, and 4, that I'd probably say there's pretty even spacing, but then like 1 is probably like
Yeah.
way farther down.
Yeah,
One is
and
not very
maybe
good.
people think another reason people might think Just Cause 2 is so much better is because they were introduced through Just Cause 1, which is quite a different game in a lot of aspects. And Just Cause 2 was crazy compared to the first game because the first game was pretty straight and pretty serious.
And there was a pretty big gap, I think, between their release dates.
There was, and there wasn't as big of a gap between 2 and 3, and it was even smaller between 3 and 4.
Okay, yeah. Just Cause 1 was September of 2006.
Yeah, it was early. It was on the original. It was on PlayStation 2, I think.
It was a 360 game. I don't know about it.
It was 360 game. I thought or Just Cause 2. You said the original Just Cause, I think, was on the PlayStation 2.
I don't know about that, but Just Cause
Personally,
1 and 2.
I prefer Mercenaries 2: Worlds of Destruction, which I know people don't really like. I prefer that to the original Just Cause.
Yeah, dude could go on about that game.
Oh yeah, I know he has opinions on Mercenaries.
But yeah, Just Cause 1 and 2 were 360 games. Just Cause 1 came out September 2006. Just Cause 2 came out March 2010. Actually, interesting. The gap between 2 and 3 is actually larger than 1 and 2.
Really?
Just Cause 3 came out in December of 2015, so 5 years later, when there's only 4 years between 1 and 2. And then Just Cause 4 came out December of 2018, so only 3 years.
Oh, only 3 years. Okay.
But yeah, Just Cause 1, I think, was probably one of the first games that really was a grappling hook and parachute was like the gimmick behind the game. I don't think I'd really ever seen that in a game before.
New thing. Yeah,
exactly. It was like a new thing.
I don't think any game had anything similar to that at all.
Exactly. I remember playing the demo and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" But then after playing fully into the game, I was like, "This is not a very good game." I remember the end of the game was really frustrating because of how the military base you got to take out, and it was easy to die.
Oh yeah. The final fortress or base or what have you in each of the Just Cause games. Didn't do it in the fourth one, but for the first 3, very, very difficult, very intense. Takes a lot of time too, because normally, if you have a jet or if you have a helicopter with guns, or even use your missiles and gun on your wingsuit, you could take out some of the bigger bases in like 15 or 20 minutes. But those last ones, they can take like an hour or even more, especially if you die and you have to come back and do it again.
Yeah.
Another thing, real quick, I'm not quite sure. Did Rico Rodriguez's voice actor change between 2 and 3?
I think he did.
Okay, because I know 3 and 4 it's the same voice actor. I'm not sure if it's the same one as 2. That might also be another thing, because I think I've heard that people prefer Rico Rodriguez in 2 versus 3. I don't know if that's just the voice actor or if that has to do with the writing or what have you. And I know Mario, his good friend, that voice actor was the same for 2 and 3. I don't know if he's in 4. I don't quite remember.
Let's see here.
But
Just
I think
Cause
Rico
2.
Rodriguez has changed between 2 and 3.
Just Cause 2. No, that's not Rico. Where's Rico's voice actor? He should be the first one at the top of the list.
Should absolutely be the first one. My goodness.
What the heck?
We're doing it live, folks.
I don't even know who it is, because there's no one on here that says Rico Rodriguez. There's just a bunch of names of voice actors. It doesn't say what characters they played.
Right. I'm going to take this slight break while Neo's looking at that to say, make sure you like the stream, nerds. Share it on socials. When the VOD goes up, comment on the VOD. Do it for the homies. And you know what? Go ahead and watch the VOD. We've been having a fantastic conversation these past 3 hours. And you know what? If you have a
like 3 hours.
weekend and you want to fall asleep to something, maybe you have insomnia, Go back and watch our last one. We spoke for like 5 hours and 48 minutes, nearly 6 hours. It was also a great conversation.
It was. So yeah, I doesn't it just shows a bunch of names of voice actors and it doesn't say what characters they played, so I don't even know who it was in Just Cause 2. I'd have to look into it more.
Okay.
But Carl is asking me, did I get the code? I have not contacted them yet, so I have not gotten it yet.
Okay,
So,
I got it right here. The voice
you
actor for
found it?
Rico Rodriguez in Just Cause 2 was Robin Atkin Downs. It
Oh,
did
that guy's
change
voice is
Just Cause
everywhere.
3. Yeah, it is. It did change in Just Cause 3 to be
Interesting.
voiced by Kevin Collins.
I don't know that
Two
name.
white guys voicing a Hispanic fellow, both times. That
Um,
again, that might be another reason.
I wonder
Because
why
I
the
know
voice
people
actor changed.
prefer. No idea. Being in the VOA world as much as I am, there's a, a ton of reasons. There's a whole host of things why voice actors might change. Could have been busy. Could have been a union thing. Could have been money. They just could have decided to go with somebody else who's cheaper or was more famous or what have you. But yeah, those two changed, and I think people prefer the voice, the attitude, the mannerisms, and again, that could be part of that. Could either be voice acting, that could be writing, that could be directing, it could be any combination of the three. I think that might be. I think that might also be another reason why they prefer 2 over 3 is Rico Rodriguez specifically, the main character.
That would make sense. But yeah, the guy that was the voice actor in 2, when I'm looking at voiceover stuff for video games, I see that guy's name everywhere. He is in so much stuff. I couldn't name any of the characters he's done now, other than now that I know Rico Rodriguez, but I see that guy everywhere on IMDb. So shout out to that guy. But yeah, my introduction to the Just Cause franchise was I got Just Cause. No, so I first played Just Cause 1. I think I played the demo disc from the Xbox magazine demo disc, probably. And then I ended up, because I liked the demo, I GameFlyed it, and I played the game through GameFly.
Man, GameFly, my goodness. My
And
goodness.
then I
Please
ended
excuse me
up.
for a moment. I'm paying attention. I'm listening. I just need to. This.
No worries. But I GameFlyed it, and like I said, I didn't care for the later half of the game because it didn't feel like it was really balanced that well. But I did complete it. I ended up getting Just Cause 2 as part of Games with Gold, but I never played it until I went over to my buddy's house, he's been in the stream for the last in the chat for the last couple streams. I haven't seen him yet tonight, but he had Just Cause 3. I went over to his house and we played. He was playing it when I came over, Just Cause 3, and I was like, "What the heck is this?" He's like, "Oh, this is Just Cause 3." And then we ended up spending like all night just screwing around in Just Cause 3, blowing stuff up, laughing our heads off, just messing around, having so much fun. And that's part of the reason why this is my favorite like sandbox open world destruction game. And it looks like we might have had a little bit of a raid from Metal Shred Freak. What's up, Shred? Good to see you, buddy.
What's up, Shred?
Also,
good to see you as well. I still love tuning into your Rumble channel every now and again to listen to music in the morning. I still do it. I love it. I appreciate you for that.
And this is the text version of an
emoji.
A Twitch emoji. Demi Baca, hello and welcome. We are just talking about going wherever the conversation takes us, but we're talking about video games. Right now, we're talking about our love of the Just Cause franchise.
Boy, do we.
But yeah, so so I went over to his house and and there's another one.
Hello, Urban Zombie.
Hello,
appreciate
and welcome.
You being here.
Appreciate
welcome
you.
indeed.
Yeah, hanging out with
like
us
the
for
stream
a little
nerds.
Bit. But yeah, so I went over and he was playing Just Cause. We ended up just switching off the controller and just screwing around till 3 a.m, just having a blast, blowing stuff up. And I was like, okay, I got to get this. So after that, I took a look. I put a price watch on it so I'd be alerted when it went on sale. And I bought it next time it went on sale with all the DLC for probably like $7 or $8 because you can get the game and all the DLC on sale for super cheap.
Oh yeah,
pretty often.
Yeah.
And
all the DLC I'm pretty sure is included with. I mean, there was the Air, Land, and Sea Pack, which had the 3 separate DLC.
Get the
and there's
land,
a couple
air,
of extra guns, which cost like I think 29 cents or something each when they go on sale. Just get it all in a bundle. It ends up costing like less than $10. It's fine, and you'll get plenty of time out of it.
Yeah, and lots
You'll
of
really
fun
like
out of it. So we'll definitely shill for Just Cause 3.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
so I bought it when it went on sale, but I was like, I had already played Just Cause 1 like a decade ago.
Mhm.
I hadn't played Just Cause 2, but I had it through Games with Gold. So, all right, I'm going to play Just Cause 2 before I play Just Cause 3. And I
Yeah.
burned through it in about 4 days because
Ooh,
I
wow.
was unemployed at the time and I was starting
I
a
see.
new
I
job
see.
the next Monday.
Mhm,
So I was like,
mhm.
I'm going to burn through this game and get it done before I start my new job. So I burned through Just Cause 2 in about 4 days. And I
Ooh, man.
remember, I think I took a clip of it because I was playing it on my Xbox One at the time.
Okay.
And so I was able to capture clips and stuff. And the last achievement I had in Just Cause 2 was you had to drive every vehicle, and there was one
Oh my
vehicle,
goodness.
like a needle in a haystack, trying to find that
Yeah.
one vehicle I didn't have yet, because you can
Yep.
check and see which ones you have marked off the
Mhm.
list, so it wasn't
Mhm.
easy to figure out which one it was. I just had to
Right.
find one out in the wild.
Just finding it. Yeah.
And I remember I was driving around for probably like an hour looking. It was some weird boat, and there was very few
Oh,
of
it was a
them.
boat as well. Oh my goodness. Oh
And
my
so I'm out in
goodness.
the water driving boat, trying to find this one boat. And I'm almost positive I took a capture of this because I'm driving around and I'm spinning the camera as I'm going, keeping my head on a swivel to
Right.
see if I can see
Right.
that boat. And I'm like turning the camera, and I went past it. But I was like, wait a minute, that was the boat I needed. And I turned back. The boat
Oh,
despawned and
respawn.
vanished out of the
Oh
game. I was like, "Are you kidding me,
no.
you
No.
piece of crap?"
Oh my
So
God. Oh, bless
I
it.
ended up finding one probably about
Oh,
10 minutes
dude.
later, but it was funny. I was looking for this boat for like an hour and I find it, and it literally vanished right in front of my eyes. I took a
Oh
capture
man.
of it. I'm sure I
And
could go back on my
oh my
Xbox and find
gosh.
it vanishing in front of my
No,
eyes. It was
that
like,
that definitely carried over into Just Cause 3. And the way I know is when you get to I think the second or third mission, where Mario opens up his garage, and it's right next to kind of like a hotel ish area on a dock, and there's a parking lot out there with a bunch of different cars. I know I'd go out there and I'd grab a bunch of cars going. I'd fly out a little bit, fly back. There'd be a bunch of new cars, and instead of getting like 4 or 5 cars, I'd get like 15 of them in like 10 minutes. So
yeah.
yeah,
So
but looking for one, just driving past and having your camera miss and go back and despawns. Oh,
yeah,
oh my
like I was like,
gosh!
"Are you kidding me?" I ended up found it and got that last achievement.
Right on,
Um,
right on.
But I remember another clip because I took quite a few clips from Just
Achievement
Cause
hunter
because
guys.
it's one of those clippable games because you just all
Mhm.
the craziness that goes on in the game.
Oh yeah,
I
oh
remember
yeah.
I was driving a boat at like full speed and I like went off. I don't remember if it was intended to be a ramp but something was a ramp. And I
Mhm.
went off the ramp and I jumped out and pulled my parachute and the boat kept going and landed on like a bunch of barrels and exploded and took out like half the military base.
Oh,
I was
right
like, that
on,
was
right on.
awesome. So I clipped
Oh,
it.
dude, that
Um,
is apps. That is the stuff that makes Just Cause 3 just the
this was Just Cause
best,
2,
or Just Cause 2. Excuse me.
but
Both
they're
of them.
both
Both of them.
fun.
Oh yeah, that's the stuff right there. When you just accidentally, through fault of your own, but by no means your intention, cause
Exactly.
just absolutely insane destruction. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. That's the stuff.
So I burned through Just Cause 4 in a few days, and then I started Just Cause 3, and I fell in love with it even more than I like 2.
Mm.
And I did play the whole game before I touched the DLC, so I played it as intended. Did the DLCs in the correct order. So the first DLC for Just Cause 3 was the Sky Fortress, and it's
Yep.
basically got the what are they called? The helicarriers from the
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
MCU
the helicarriers. Yeah,
from
it's
from
basically like
Marvel.
that, maybe a little bigger. Yeah,
It's basically the
it's got
helicarrier
internals
way
to
up,
it.
and it's like an aircraft
Oh yeah,
carrier
it's
way
like a
up in the
mile
sky.
up.
It's
When
way
you
up
fly
there.
to it, you spend like 10 minutes flying. You get about
It's not
halfway there,
that
and then
long,
well, not that long, but it's a few minutes flying there. Then you get about halfway there, and then you hit a load screen, and then you end up being right there.
but yeah, you can see it from basically anywhere in the game.
Hmm.
But it's basically
As
like
long
a
as you have line of sight.
helicarrier,
Yeah.
helicarrier way up there, and that's the first DLC. The second DLC is you go off to this island that's to the north of the map, and you get a couple of these like on wheel. They're like mechs that have legs, but on the end of the legs have wheels that can move in any direction, almost like the Batmobile tank in Arkham Knight, but on steroids. And there's a couple different.
That's quite a good comparison.
And there's a couple different mechs you could get. They're fun, as Jake mentioned. But the Sky Fortress DLC, you get the Bavarian wingsuit, which is a rocket-powered wingsuit, and it has machine guns and lock-on rockets. It's so overpowered. Like you said, it's basically Iron Man the game. You just don't have the metal armor suit.
And even without upgrading it, you're able to fly perpetually. You just tap that trigger, and you can just stay straight no matter what until you hit the end of the map, basically.
Yeah. Then the third DLC takes place out in the ocean to the west of the main game's map, and you get, I forget what it's called, like the Luchador or something like. I think it was called the Luchador.
Yeah,
is that what it was
it's
called?
Got a ton of guns on it, and rockets. And
it's this crazy advanced military super boat that's ridiculously fast. It can launch itself out of the water. It's got machine guns.
That's right.
You could literally jump like 100 feet out of the water with that thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. You do flips in the air with it,
You do flips. It won't stay underwater, but you can... It's like
you
fully
do like a little dive and come back up.
You can go underwater almost like a submarine before it pops you back up, because it's fully encased, so it won't take on water. And it can shoot rockets that lock on. What's that?
You can't get sniped in it either, which is very important. You get sniped out of helicopters. You can, although it's rare, you can get sniped out of jets, but not that boat.
Yeah, you can't get sniped out of it. It's got lock-on rockets that can shoot in 360 degree. It's this awesome boat. I think it's dubbed the Luchador, and you get that in that DLC. And that thing is pretty awesome for being in the water. The other great thing about that DLC that gets overlooked is the the special weapon. The Eden Spark is one of my favorite video game weapons. It's basically the Hammer of Dawn from Gears of War on steroids.
Calls down this, just you lock on, and then this lightning strike just pow comes out of the sky, and even if you hit like a massive boat or whatever, it just explodes. It's great. I mean, it's literally just the hand of God coming down and boop.
You basically have a laser targeter to point where the satellite laser beam is going to shoot. And once you upgrade it fully, you can just pan across a military base, and it can last really a pretty long period of time before it has to recharge. And once you have it fully upgraded, it recharges really fast too. But you can just mow a base down just by panning across a base with the laser from space just taking out everything. That gun is great.
It's so much fun.
But yeah, the Sky Fortress, the first DLC, gives you the Bavarian wingsuit.
Gives you the Bavarian assault rifle as well, which has roughly...
Oh, I forgot about that.
Roughly the same damage as kind of the middle assault rifle, but it has a 60-round magazine, and it has as much ammo as the light machine guns. So I love using it as a primary rifle.
That is my primary gun as well. I forgot about that.
And of course, I don't know the names of them, but the 6-shooters, the revolvers, I pull up a map because I forget. And as soon as I get the wingsuit, I go around and I find all of the pieces to unlock the peacemakers.
Oh, the peacemakers.
And use those revolvers. Again, much limited ammo compared to other sidearms, but man, 1 or 2 shots to kill guys. I love using those things as well.
But yeah, the powered wingsuit is probably the biggest game changer in the game that you get in the Sky Fortress. And then you can do the challenges and upgrade it, and it becomes even better. The cooldown times on your machine gun and rockets get super low. You can boost a lot longer. It's just so awesome. So I got the DLC because my buddy, who I played Just Cause 3 at his place first, only had the base game. I went and I bought the game in the DLC. And so I was the first one to experience that the Bavarian wingsuit, and I told him about it, and he came over to my place, and he logged in to my Xbox with his account so that he could have access to the DLC and get the wingsuit. And so he unlocked it in his game or on his profile, and he's like, "Dude, this is awesome." Then And then after that day, he went back home because he had unlocked it on his, on my Xbox that had access to the DLC. He went back to
Right.
his Xbox. It wouldn't even load the game because it's like you have content
Oh,
in your game that you don't have the license to, and he
right.
literally got locked out of his game.
Oh no.
He was
I
like,
guess he'd have to buy the DLC and
he
get it
went
downloaded.
ahead and bought
Oh
the
man.
DLC anyways because it's not very expensive.
Hmm.
But he got locked out of the game. It's not like it took it away. It literally would not let him load into the
Right.
game because the
Right.
content was in his game that
Oh
he
yeah.
didn't have the license to. So he had to buy the game or the DLC in order to keep playing. But he was fine because it's like that was the best DLC ever. But
Mhm.
one of my when it comes to content in the game, probably my biggest disappointment from 3 to 4 is I loved all the challenges that they had all over the place in Just Cause 3, the driving challenges. My favorite were the wingsuit challenges.
Oh yeah.
They
Oh
didn't
yeah.
have those in Just Cause 4. The
Oh
closest thing was
boo.
the stunt rings, which is
Boo.
just go through these 3 rings, and that's all
Yeah,
there is.
like the sky, like for the Bavarian wingsuit in Just Cause 3, where you had to fly through the rings, like that
Yeah,
kind of.
'cause
Okay.
and you get scored based on how close to the very center you do,
Hmm.
and you get, basically like a 1 through 5-star rating,
Hmm.
and they're all over the place. In Just Cause 4, there's like a couple of them, and they're just these 3 rings that are pretty close together, and you just have to go through all 3 of them, whether they're
Hmm.
in your wingsuit or do it in a car or a boat or whatever. They're
Okay.
stunt rings because it's basically the in-game justification is basically you're filming a stunt for a movie, so you
Mhm.
just need to do this one little thing and then you
Right.
get credit for it. It was
Right.
really disappointing compared to the challenges that were in Just Cause 3, which I
Hmm.
loved those challenges.
Oh yeah, and some of them were insane in Just Cause 3. Now, the unlocks in Just Cause 4. I know there was an unlock system in Just Cause 2. Just Cause 3 had quite an extensive unlock system, so much so that there were some that were redundant to each other, so you could turn them on and off to switch to different ones. Was it kind of similar in
Yes.
Just Cause 4?
Um I'm pretty sure they expanded upon that so
Okay.
that system was better
Hmm.
because yeah, like one of the main things they added was just all the crazy customization you could do to the settings on your grappling hook.
Right. Right.
Um and I'm pretty sure cuz I played a lot more Just Cause 3 than I have Just Cause 4,
Hmm.
even though I played 4 at length more recently because ever since I finished 4, I'll just go back and dabble in 3 every once in a while, but I haven't played through 3 again.
Hmm.
But I'm pretty sure they took that sort of like upgrading sort of system. They did enhance that in 4.
Okay. Good. Well, at least they did that. My goodness.
So, um, but yeah, uh, yeah. In Just Cause 4,
Hmm.
I believe there was also 3 DLCs. One was
Okay.
a vehicle racing type
Yeah.
based
Did they
DLC.
introduce like a monster truck with that as well?
Yeah. So it
Okay.
was very vehicle based.
Hmm.
There was some races, there were some destruction ones. Those destruction ones almost like Tony Hawk because you're in
Mm,
like these arenas and you got to get like certain scores and
I
there's like
see.
quarter
I
pipes
see.
and stuff.
I imagine they were introducing them because in Just Cause 3, again, once you get the wingsuit, why bother getting in any cars? So they decided to introduce some DLC to actually like get you to use the other mechanics, like
That
driving
could
cars, things
be.
like that.
Um, the I think that was the first DLC. The
Hmm.
second DLC was you went out to this island. I think it was northwest of the main game island, and it was basically all on foot because it wasn't a very big island,
Okay.
and it was based. It was almost like there was like this indigenous tribe that lived on this island, and they're
Okay.
like uh they don't like outsiders, and
Right.
they have
Right.
some sort of like I think it was like a weather control device or something.
Oh, interesting.
It was
Interesting.
not very memorable. I don't remember a whole lot
Okay.
about that DLC.
Okay.
And I think the third and final DLC was actually pretty cool because you got I don't remember what it was called or what the premise was behind it, but you
Mhm.
got some cool items. Namely, was a hoverboard, which was pretty cool.
Oh, I've heard about that. I heard
And
people like that as well.
there was actually you could actually like grind with it, so there were actually like
Oh,
some Tony Hawk style
oh yeah.
grinding mechanics, and almost like maybe even more so equivalent to, I haven't played it, but I heard it was good and it's on my backlog, was Sunset Overdrive.
Oh, dude, Sunset Overdrive is a fun game. It is
So I've
very
got
fun.
that on my backlog, but it was probably more equivalent to that because you could
Mhm.
use your hoverboard to like grind lines and shoot at stuff at the same time,
Mhm.
and that was pretty
Oh, it had
fun.
guns on it. Oh, great.
Well,
Or
I
you were
don't think
using
that
your guns on
you're
the
using
board.
your guns
Okay.
while you're on the board,
Okay.
and you could do tricks and stuff on it too.
Oh,
So
right on.
that was pretty cool.
See now I feel like much like I did Just Cause 3 on the last of it, Mike. I think tonight I might give Just Cause 4 a chance, download that, and give that another shot because I kind of want to experience that. I want to experience the destruction derby stuff, the racing. I want to experience that hoverboard.
I would recommend it. It
I
wasn't
think
bad.
yeah, and I know it wasn't bad. I just never put enough time into it to, maybe 2 hours at most, and it was quite a while ago after it came out. But I think I'll download that tonight. Maybe I'll play that a little bit tomorrow.
Sweet. And I wouldn't. The weapons probably weren't as over the top as in 3, but there
Okay.
was one rocket launcher, which is basically a mini nuke launcher. That thing was
Oh
awesome.
yeah.
It looks like a regular, skinny RPG, but the
Right.
missile it shoots creates this gigantic
Mhm.
explosion. It was
Yeah, there's
great.
something like that in Just Cause 3 as well. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that. I love Just Cause 3. And if I have time tonight because I still got to pack, I got to go run to the store. If I have some time, I might boot it up and screw around in Just Cause 3 for a little bit before I go to bed.
Right on.
But yeah,
Right on.
I definitely recommend Just Cause 2 and 3. And if you like them, I would say Just Cause 4. But if you're like iffy on them, I'd probably say skip Just Cause 4. But yep.
Yeah.
I
If
think
you're only
that's
going to
about
get
it.
one game, get Just Cause 3. If you want to get 2, grab Just Cause 2 as well. You can get it and all the DLC for like $3. And like
Yeah,
Neo
go
just
on
said,
sale.
if you like those, go ahead and give Just Cause 4 a shot as well. I'm going to give it another shot.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's about it for Just Cause.
Mhm.
So, I still got 2 more topics here, but I know you got to go here in just a few minutes. So I think we'll wrap it there, and at some
Sure.
point we'll do a part 3. And
Oh, absolutely.
we still got more to talk about.
Absolutely.
And
Would love to.
surprisingly, as you were trying to make it a point, I think you said backstage before we started to not add any new topics. I have not added any new topics to the list. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We still
congrats on that.
We have RTS games and Supreme Commander specifically, and I know that's something we can definitely get into. Absolutely.
Yeah, the other 2 things I still got here to talk about is I put Supreme Commander, but yeah, RTSs in general and
Thanks, Paul.
Rare. So
Oh, and Rare.
about Rare.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So another great discussion. Love having you on.
Absolutely. Loved being here, Neo. Thank you so much for having me.
It's always great to have you on and talk nerd stuff.
Mhm.
Look forward to our next
Part 3.
discussion on this and getting you on for
Top
whenever we do
5s.
Star Wars Top 5 Part 2 to get the
Mhm.
rest of your Star Wars list.
Sure, absolutely. I really appreciate you having me on, Neo. Again, guys, I'm Jake. To make things easier on people, I go by Big Dog Jake, BIGGDOGGJAKE. I am a professional, the occasional VOA for hire. I am a political writer and analyst for hire. I love video games. I love metal music, and I will talk to anyone about them. If you want to follow me anywhere, it's BIGGDOGGJAKE on Twitter /X, Beware Politics. On Instagram, you can shoot me a DM on Twitter. Again, same handle. If you want to talk about voice work, if you want to talk about politics, if you want to talk about video games or music or hire me for something or just be friends and chat about stuff, shoot me a message over there. Neo, again, thank you so much for having me on for a part 2. I'm glad we've hit now about nearly 9 hours. We're probably going to easily hit 12 or 15 in the future, if not more. And as always, guys, my sign off, be well, peace out, horns up, and rock on.
Yeah.
Neo, thank you so much for having me.
Love having you on. Thanks for coming on and having great discussions with me.
Absolutely.
I did put your Twitter link in the chat, and it is also in the stream description, so you can go check out Jake and chat with him.
Yeah. And that name is quite unique. Wherever you see that name, that's me. Nobody else has it. I've checked, believe me. Especially when Discord a couple months ago made it so that you had to change your username to get rid of the hashtag 4 numbers afterwards. I put in Big Dog Jake. It was still mine. Nobody uses it. If somebody else uses it and it's not this guy, it's not me. So Just saying. Also, I saw a couple people pop in. Paul saying, "Great show."
Yep,
Sophie, my
great
friend
show.
Sophie, also part of the GCA. Sophie,
I was just gonna say,
good
hi,
evening to
Sophie.
you as well,
You
Sophie.
probably don't know me, but I see you in chats all the time. You were
Oh,
before
Sophie's
it
all
was
over the place in chats.
before they figured it out that it was Sophie. Back when they said SoFi.
Like SoFi Stadium, yeah.
Yeah, because and then they're like, no, it's Sophie. So hello, Sophie. Hello, nice to meet
See
you
you, Sophie.
officially. I see
AC,
you
don't
in
start from the
chats.
beginning. Just skip the first one. Go to number 2. Do Just Cause 2. Don't worry about the first one.
No, he's talking about starting from the beginning of the stream.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, go catch the beginning of the stream. But hello, Sophie. Nice to meet you. I am Nerdy Neo, and I basically everything here on my channel is all video game related. Typically, every Thursday night, I do an open mic with a typically a one-on-one guest. Occasionally more than that. Sometimes I'll game, but typically I'll have a discussion, and we'll just talk about video games. Every other Saturday, typically not May because I'm having to travel for work. So the last one was like in April, but typically every other Saturday, we do party chat where me and my co-host Mark the Cyborg and Ryan from Legion Games and a guest host, we talk about fun video game topics like hardest game you ever beat, what game is the one you spent the most hours in, who's the most annoying video game character, fun topics like that. That was actually the impetus for me starting my channel because I had that idea years ago and it just didn't have time to start my channel until I'm getting close to my 1 year mark next month. Dude 1286 and I do a monthly stream where we talk about we're both achievement hunters and completionists, so we talk about what achievements we've been hunted over the last month. We usually do that. We try to do that the first Friday of every month. And then recently, my co-host Jason Tongate from Tons of Fun, we started our show called Top 5, where we have a panel of guests on, and we all rank our top 5 favorite whatever. We just had one on Tuesday. Jake was a part of it, and we ranked our top 5 favorite Star Wars game in honor of Star Wars Month.
Absolutely. So, and it was George Lucas's birthday on that
It was
day.
his birthday.
What a coincidence.
80th birthday on Tuesday, and we didn't know that until like an hour before we went live.
Nor I. Same time, yeah.
So, yeah, if you like video game talk, I think you'll like my channel because that's basically all I do here. Occasionally, I'll stream games, but not very often. It's mainly just talking about video games because that's what I love to do. And I make the content that I myself would want to watch. Like I said earlier in the stream, I go back and I listen to my streams again because I just love listening to these discussions.
Yeah. I'll definitely be doing it for this one.
But yeah, Angry Canadian, he usually always catches the replay. But yeah, definitely catch it. It was a great discussion.
I'll be watching yours with Carl, AC.
Just like the first time he was on. And Sophie's bringing up this meme. What's your sign?
She did it to like 20 of us over the past week. So
I don't know what it means, but my sign is Cancer because my birthday is the beginning of July.
And I'm end of July 22nd. So I'm technically Leo, actually, based on Greenwich Mean Time. But yeah, we're July homies.
So yeah, my birthday is about a week after my channel anniversary. So I'm gonna be figuring out some fun stuff for that week. So yes, and Paul is saying Sunday Halo soon. I'm hoping to get to that soon. We talk all the time, so I'll let you know. But and Carl RNG, I'm definitely gonna be catching tonight's of your show because I'm sure it was great with Angry Canadian. And good show, chaps. Will watch from the beginning, as will I watch yours from the beginning because you put on great shows as well. So that is it. Thank you, everyone who joined in chat. All the guys I just highlighted. I saw a bunch of new faces today. Thank you all for joining us for another open mic. You guys have a great rest of your week. We will see you all later. And in the meantime, game on.
Game on.